The Jake Asman Show will begin shortly. Thanks to all these great Patreon members who help support the show. Get your super chats ready. Jake will be here in just a moment. If you love the New York Jets, this is the place to be. And now, the Jake Asman Show.
Davante Adams spoke for the very first time yesterday as a member of the New York Jets. What did he have to say? We'll talk about that. Plus, the latest on Mike Williams, who's back at the Jet facility today. Will he be traded? We'll talk about that and much more with Jets insider Nick Faria in his weekly spot on the show. It's the Jake Asman Show. Let's hit it and get it started. Man, our Jets are primed for a historic season. Wow! Here he is. Hey!
He was having second thoughts, but hopefully we can put that behind us now. And yeah, we're back, man. We're back.
We bleed Jet green each and every day. This is not the same old Jet. We have Aaron freaking Rodgers. We have Garrett Wilson. Let's go. We have Breece Hall. Please subscribe and hit the like button below. Super chat, baby. Cut the line. We have Sauce Gardner. We have Quinnen Williams. The Jet bandwagon is loaded. Now it's time to talk all things New York Jets. It's the Jake Asman Show. Here we go, Jet fans. Before we bring on Nick Faria and his weekly spot, a reminder, this Sunday night, it's our next watch party at T-Squared Social in Midtown Manhattan. The party starts at 7. We will have drink specials, food specials, giveaways, and much more. And for all the Met fans out there, if there is a Game 6 of the NLCS, it will be on several of the TVs at the same time as the Jets game, and we will have a very specific area of the bar that will have the sound on for the Mets game the entire time. So you can watch the Jets and the Mets. We'll have the Jet sound on, the Mets sound on. It's going to be a blast. So all the Jet Met fans out there, come on down and watch both games with us this Sunday night at T-Squared Social. It's a free event. All you need to do to join us is RSVP with the link I have in the description for this video. Let's say hello right now to the great Nick Faria in his weekly spot. Nick, I know you're a Met fan, so I won't bring up last night, but thanks for coming on the show.
No, listen, they're playing with house money, baby. It's 2-1 against the Dodgers. I will take that every day of the week in the NLCS. This is a great season.
No doubt, no doubt. And look, they've bounced back all year, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if they find a way to win today. As far as the Jets, they really need to find a way to win on Sunday. They cannot fall to 2-5. Now that we've had a couple days to kind of digest the loss to Buffalo on Monday, followed by 12 hours later, a Davante Adams trade that seemed like was going to happen, and then it didn't, and now it has. How do you feel, I should say, about where this Jets team is at going into such a huge game on Sunday night against the Steelers?
Well, let's just put it this way. Me personally, I'm tired. Holy moly. The last week of just complete news. You go from Robert Saleh being the head coach on Monday to him being fired 24 hours later to Nathaniel Hackett and Keith Carter staying, and then 24 hours later, oh, wait, we're replacing him with Todd Downing. And then, of course, you have the game on Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, looking at the tape, I'm pretty encouraged by what I saw, particularly on offense. Yes, the red zone offense needs work. They need to be more disciplined. Some of these penalties were just egregiously bad on the referee's side, though. And ultimately, I look at it, they had close to 400 yards of offense. Aaron Rodgers looked good. Breece Hall seemed to be breaking out a little bit after a slow start to the season. So I look at this game in particular, in the start of the Jeff Ulbrich era and Todd Downing partnership. I look at this game as a potential precursor to the rest of the season. 2-4, not good. No one's going to sit here and try to sell you on that how 2-4 is actually a good thing. It's not. You have to focus every single week, though, on your upcoming opponent. You take on the Pittsburgh Steelers this week. You have Davante Adams on the roster. Pittsburgh's defense is very good, but when you have two quality receivers like the Jets now have, it should be able to give you enough time, give you enough energy, a boost on offense to help you potentially win that game. And then the week after is the New England Patriots, and the Patriots are in complete disarray. There's an opportunity here for the Jets to get back into this race at 4-4. Now, 4-4 isn't exactly what everyone signed up for, but it's certainly a lot better than 2-5. So it starts with Pittsburgh. I think there's a lot of positivity roaming around the locker room right now from what I've heard. They like what they saw from the offense, and now with Davante Adams, certainly a positive moving forward.
Well, I think the whole key is you got to win Sunday, right? Because you can't even picture like this team going on a run. And I think 10 wins would be enough in this year's AFC to get you into the playoffs. Maybe 9 would, depending on some tiebreakers. But you look at the 7 seed right now. The 7 seed's 3-3, so you're a game back of a playoff spot.
That's nothing. Yeah.
And you look at the Jets' schedule. They play a lot of the teams you would think you're going to be competing with for a playoff spot. Pittsburgh, we know every year where Tomlin has a winning record, so they're going to be around 9-8. That's just history. What they do.
That's the thing. It's not like Pittsburgh's going to be 12-5. It's not like they're going to be 13-4. They're going to hover around 9 to 10 wins. If you can win this game, you get a very substantial tiebreaker here in the conversation.
Yeah, you play the Colts later on this season. So we're talking about some teams here that you're going to directly be competing with, for one of those wild card spots. So we'll see. But as far as Davante goes, I'm going to play you some sound from him, and we'll kind of react to, what it means both this season and obviously beyond the season, because he said he made it clear he wanted to play beyond just 1 or 11 games here with the New York Jets. But here's a little of Davante from yesterday to get your thoughts. Here's DA talking about playing with his old friend, Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I don't know yet. We haven't played yet, so I don't know. He might not be as good as he used to be, so we'll see. But, no, serious. I mean, it's great just being back, being able to be with my guy. Like, first and foremost, just being able to spend time with him every day again is something that I put a lot of value on. So just having his company, but obviously having him as my quarterback again. I mean, he was part of why I am who I am and why I turned into the player, whether it's the cerebral approach, it's the attention to detail, just learning from him and watching him operate and just how dialed in he is at all times. I feel like that has a lot to do with how I ultimately ended up being kind of functioning the way I do as a player. So it's a good deal. It's definitely good to be around him and be around the guys, and a lot of familiar faces in here, a few former Packers, former Raiders too, so it's good.
So you hear that from Davante. He's obviously pumped up to be back with the Jets. Rodgers said yesterday that Davante already knew 95% of the hand signals, which if he doesn't know all the plays necessarily, if Rodgers could just gesture, hey, do this on certain plays, run this route, that's enough. So what do you make of this reunion and the impact it potentially has right away for this team?
Well, I wrote a quick story yesterday on Athlon Sports about Aaron Rodgers sort of reminiscing on the last 72 hours, what it was like when the trade was made. And he made the point of he wasn't feeling up to a conversation with Davante when he called right around midnight. And then 1 o'clock, he gets another call. He answers. Davante goes, hey, I'm boarding a plane. And, of course, Rodgers thinks the worst. His heart drops. Where are you going to? And Adams kind of pulls his chain and says, oh, New York. I'll see you in a little bit. So, you see the joy. You can just see the joy in both of their faces playing back together again. And you look at it, it's just fun to see when you have players that are this excited to join the team, to reunite back together. It's such a beautiful moment to have. We'll see if it will work out in the long run for the Jets. But the story of how this trade came to be, certainly one of the funnier ones that we have seen in recent memory when it comes to players being reunited like this.
It's exciting, but the fan base is not fully enjoying it because the team is 2-4. Just think about what the reaction would have been to this move had they won on Monday night, and even if they lost, right? But let's say we're able to get a win against Denver, and you're 3-3, and then you just added Adams, even with the head-to-head loss to the Bills. It's like, okay, we were in the game. We didn't make enough plays, but now we're in position to take that step forward, get on the same page, and go. They just have put themselves in a big hole. It goes back to what we've been saying. They have to find a way to win on Sunday, where they're somehow, some way, a slight favorite in this game, despite going on the road and despite Pittsburgh being 4-2 and the Jets being 2-4.
Yeah, I can tell you why they're slight favorites. Have you looked at the Steelers' offense anytime recently? I mean, they're just an absolute garbage mess. I mean, the defense is elite. It's one of the best in the National Football League. But whether it's Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, they can't get the ball to their receivers. Their running game is just flip a coin at best. The offensive line has been atrocious. Jet fans are arguing about Broderick Jones and potentially they should have had him over a guy like Will McDonald. And let me tell you something right now. Joe Douglas is thanking the heavens for the Steelers trading up for Broderick Jones, because that pick has just been an absolute disaster for them. So yes, there's a reason why the Jets are still favored. And they look at things, Vegas probably looks at the Steelers as a team on borrowed time. The offense is just anemic. At some point, the defense is going to break down. And that's why they give the Jets a slight edge. Now, that does not mean that the Jets should be overwhelming favorites. Pittsburgh's defense has found ways to stymie even some of the most elite offenses in the National Football League. But still, Aaron Rodgers against this defense, this Jets defense against Justin Fields or Russell Wilson, I'll take that matchup every day.
No doubt. And we'll talk more about the matchup coming up here. But staying with Davante, I found these comments to be interesting and also exciting. This was Davante Adams talking about beyond this year playing for the Jets.
You said a multi-who?
Yeah, multi-year. Multiple years.
I mean, I hope so. That's the plan. I mean, I want to be here. I never go somewhere in hopes of having to find a new home. So that's the hope.
Rodgers talked about it the other day. I think it was actually yesterday too. How, yeah, of course you want to play longer than just this year when you see what we have here. So, for those saying, oh, the Jets traded the 3rd round pick for, 11 games of Adams. Well, that's not the plan. They already redid his deal. There's plans to extend him beyond this year. So we're talking about a guy that is going to be locked in with Garrett Wilson and Rodgers for this season and at least next season. So, I don't even want to think about next year. I'm focused on this season, but this is not a rental, Nick. This guy's going to be a part of this team beyond just this, 11-game stretch.
I think we can all understand what's going to happen this offseason. If Aaron Rodgers returns in 2025, Davante Adams will be back on the Jets roster. If Aaron Rodgers decides to hang it up and retire, more likely than not, Davante Adams is going to be leaving New York. I think that's the general consensus of what everyone understands and what this premise is. Adams wants to play. He wants to finish his career with Aaron Rodgers. There is nothing wrong with that. He has every right to do so. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I want to be here long term. Sure, as long as Aaron is your actual quarterback. I think that's pretty fair overall, pretty fair assessment in regards to this.
One more from Davante, then we'll talk about some of the other storylines with his team, a la Mike Williams and Haason Reddick. This game on Sunday at Pittsburgh, which we've been alluding to. Here's Davante talking about how it all went down with his trade request.
Essentially, yeah. I mean, that's where it started. I mean, all the fans, everybody who's associated with the Raiders, they see everything. They see, a trade demand, and they just think it's like he wants out. He's quitting on the team, when it's more about just being able to feel like I don't want that helpless feeling of feeling like I'm on the field. Not every game is going to be a 100-yard game or a 150, 200-yard game, but I want to feel like I can impact the game every time I touch the field. So just having the confidence that I'll be able to make some plays and change the game, if need be, versus getting out there on the field and feeling like, we need too many things to go right in order for me to be successful. And when I say me be successful, I don't mean, again, me going out and having an all-pro year every time. That comes with the consistency, and, I'm going to do enough right and be dialed in, and I'm going to try to be the control variable, because it's already hard enough to make it work. You got the O-line, got to block, ball's got to come to you, it's got to be on time, it's got to be accurate. The DB, the coverages, there's so many things that change. So for me, I'm going to control it with the way I run my routes, and I'm always going to have faith in, that part of it. But sometimes you got to make it easier and get to a situation that allows you to be yourself.
What do you make of those comments here and the impact he's going to have now being himself with his old buddy Rodgers thrown to him?
Yeah, and Rodgers also kind of said it yesterday. The one thing you look at with Garrett Wilson is he was being bracketed, sometimes double-teamed in games, so it was really hard for him to have those breakout dominant performances that Jet fans were hoping for. Now with Davante Adams, you can use Garrett Wilson in the slot, kind of like CeeDee Lamb with the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb, the majority of his snaps come from the slot specifically, and it just allows you to put one of your best playmakers on the field in an advantageous situation. With Adams, with Allen Lazard, potentially with Mike Williams, you can have bigger body receivers on the outside just to give yourself more of an opportunity to try new things from an offensive perspective. Like we talked about, this offense looked good on Monday night against the Buffalo Bills. It's not like they were, stymied in certain drives. They were moving up and down the field the entire time. The problem was they couldn't score in the red zone. So when I look at where this Jets offense is, this Davante Adams trade is going to help tremendously for this offense. Plain and simple. It's just a natural help because when you have a top receiver like this, everything changes. You can get the ball out even quicker than Aaron Rodgers has done to this point. You can move the ball effectively. You can spread the defense out. You look at the Dallas Cowboys in 2018, they were 3-5 at one point midway through the season. Then they traded for Amari Cooper. They won 7 of 8. That's the comparison that I've been making since this trade came out because Cooper wasn't the only weakness that the Cowboys had that year, but once they brought him in, all the other weaknesses just sort of melted away because the offense was putting up points.
You look at this wide receiver room now, Nick. Obviously, Davante and Aaron Rodgers goes without question. He's going to be out there. He's going to make plays. Garrett Wilson has looked like Garrett Wilson these last 2 games. I thought this past week, Todd Downing did a nice job getting Garrett Wilson in motion, getting him on some crossers. I thought he played a really good game. That's 2 weeks in a row. He's played like the guy we thought we were going to see this year with Rodgers throwing to him. And Lazard, to his credit, outside of the Vikings game, has basically been steady and he's been competent. How do you now view the Mike Williams situation? Yesterday, on the injury report for personal reasons, did not practice. This morning, right before we went live, Mike Garafolo of the NFL Network reports that Mike Williams is back with the Jets today at their facility after missing practice. His immediate future with the team is TBD, with Davante Adams in the fold and less than 3 weeks to go until the trade deadline. What's the latest with Mike Williams? And as a Jet fan, am I wrong for sitting here and saying, what's the rush to trade this guy? How do you know that one of your top 3 receivers doesn't suffer an injury and you might need Mike Williams? What's the rush to get rid of a guy who, going into the year, you were expecting to be your number 2 wide receiver?
I don't think that's necessarily a rush. It's just a matter of he's the odd man out. You look at Lazard, his relationship with Aaron Rodgers. You look at Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin. The Jets have a plethora of pass catchers available to be able to sort of mitigate a potential loss of Mike Williams. That's the first piece to this. The second piece, of course, is the fact that Mike Williams is coming off of ACL injury. When you have an injury like this, I've been saying this consistently, he was never going to come in and be the same 1,000-yard receiver that he was with the LA Chargers. If you thought that, I just think you're not understanding how these injuries affect pass catchers like wide receivers. So it was always going to be a process, and the Jets were hoping that they would be a lot better and their record would reflect a team that could be a little more patient with a player like him. But at 2-4 now, they don't have the ability to be patient anymore. So now it's okay. We need players that can help us right away and move immediately on the field and help us and place a good impact. Williams is not that player right now. I don't think it's fair to expect him to have been coming off that injury. So I think that he is the odd man out. At some point, this deal will probably get done. I know the Steelers are interested. There are a bunch of other teams that need wide receiver help. So there could be a trade in the future. I look at that as more of a potential trade deadline move than something that just happens right before this game against Pittsburgh, because even if other teams want receiver help, you want to make sure they're ingrained with the playbook. If Mike Williams were to be traded today, he can't play on Sunday. He's not ready. He doesn't know the playbook. So I certainly think that this is probably something that happens closer to the trade deadline than anything else.
I just don't see the rush to trade him. You could have an injury, and, I understand he doesn't have a role necessarily, with this team right now because Davante's now here, but, how do we know there's not an injury,
Yeah, I totally get that, and it's preparing for the future. That kind of mindset helps your team in the long run. But is Mike Williams going to want to be wide receiver 5? Is he going to?
No, but you know what? He's under contract, and he's being paid his money. Unless I'm getting something of value for trading him, or you're going to tell me by trading him you're clearing cap to then do something with Reddick and that makes your team better. I'll listen to that. But just trading him because he's unhappy, okay, tough. You signed a contract, and I don't understand this. Oh, he doesn't have a role on the team. Xavier Gibson is still taking snaps right now. Mike Williams should get all those snaps.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with that point. I'm just essentially saying when you are a wide receiver, when Mike Williams signed this contract with the Jets, he signed with the understanding and the belief that he would be the borderline wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. The Davante Adams trade changes the expectations of what the Jets have of Williams and Williams has with the Jets. So there's going to be a natural discussion of what happens between the two sides, whether they decide to stick together, whether Williams wants a trade. That's going to be up to Joe Douglas and Williams to decide. I haven't heard anything in regards to that specifically. But I do know, based on how players think, Mike Williams is going to be a free agent next season. He wants to be on a team where he can make an impact with, potentially getting a long-term deal the following season. So it really is no spot for him unless an injury occurs to Lazard or Adams or Wilson. Outside of that, though, who's he going to take snaps from? You don't want to take snaps from Adams. You don't want to take snaps from Wilson. Okay, you take snaps from Allen Lazard, but Lazard actually had a really good game against the Bills. This is really the first time he's looked competent in a Jets uniform. I wouldn't exactly want him coming off the field to this point right now.
I get it. You're not going to get anything for Mike Williams.
No, you're not. At most, maybe 6th, 7th round, maybe pick swap.
Like, he's a 30-year-old coming off the ACL that hasn't looked like himself just yet. So, like, I just think you keep him. And, we want to do right by the player. How about do right by the Jets? All right? I'm tired of doing right by everyone else. I want to win mother effing games. I'm sorry. Do right by the player. He signed the contract. He's being paid a lot of money. Run the right route, Mike Williams. I don't want to hear him sulk and be all upset. You know what I mean? Like, he might need it. He might need to play a big role in this team at some point. We don't know. I remember when the Rams traded for OBJ and everyone said, "Wow, they already have Cooper Kupp and who was the other receiver they had that escaping me?
Robert Woods.
Robert Woods. Robert Woods tore his ACL the week they got OBJ. All of a sudden, they really needed OBJ. It wasn't a luxury. It became a huge need. God forbid, how do we know Garrett Wilson doesn't suffer a big injury in this game on Sunday, and you need Mike Williams now?
And that's why I don't think a trade's going to happen right away, because these other wide receiver needy teams are going to want him immediately. They're going to want him to play on Sunday, and it's already Thursday. He'd have 1 day of practice, 1 off day. It's just not feasible for Mike Williams to be ready for any new team. That's why I think it's going to be closer to the deadline overall. So listen, I'm not disagreeing with any of this. If an injury happens, you're lucky to have Mike Williams be your kind of backup receiver. With Philadelphia, they had Devin White as the backup to Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond, but eventually you can't just have this player sit on the bench and just have, $8-10 million sitting on the bench like this. You want to be able to get your money's worth out of these particular players, whether it's a 6th round pick, a 7th round pick. Eventually, I feel like this is a deal that gets done unless there's an injury that happens, because the Jets want to have some more flexibility, maybe to help bridge the gap with Haason Reddick, maybe to help potentially add another edge rusher in the trade deadline. There are a lot of different turning points here that can certainly happen.
Well, my big thing, too, is, okay, if you're moving Mike Williams, like, I would say, okay, maybe this creates a spot for Malachi Corley to get on the field, but the staff has no interest in playing him, so that's not going to happen either. So I would just keep the guy, because it looked like after week 1 where he barely played, week 2 he made arguably the biggest catch of the game. Week 3 against New England, he made some plays. It looked like it was trending upward, and then the last 3 weeks he's done nothing, and obviously we know what happens with the interceptions by Rodgers on the last 2 potential game-winning drives. But I don't know, man. I just don't see why trade this guy for a 6th round pick swap if you have a chance to keep him for depth purposes, when the trade deadline also is not till November 5th. So why not just hold on to him for a couple games and see what this offense looks like and make sure there's not an injury before you just jettison the guy who you paid $10 million to in the offseason?
Asset management. This is all about asset management. Do they want to have a little more flexibility in the cap to be able to add to an edge rushing group that is pretty thin? Or do they want to keep their receivers bolstered and say, okay, we are prepared for any potential injury that could come, because we are the Jets and some just terrible things always seem to happen to us. We're prepared for anything.
Haason Reddick now. Your thoughts on where we are with him, given the fact he now has a new agent for the first time since I've had you on the show. We could talk about that. And we also heard the rumblings of the Jets giving permission to Hasson's new agent, Drew Rosenhaus, to seek a trade, which still hasn't happened, which tells me maybe there's not that trade out there as we all suspected, and he might be stuck playing for the Jets.
It's not so much that the trade isn't out there. The contract isn't out there that Reddick is looking for. It's the same exact thing with Philadelphia. When Philadelphia had him in February and March, they were allowing him to seek a trade, but there was nothing substantial. No team wanted to give Haason Reddick $25 or more million a year. And Reddick and his camp tried as hard as they could, and eventually they couldn't find it. So the Eagles just said, okay, we're taking you to the highest bidder. What's the team you're most comfortable playing with? And the Jets were really the only team that essentially called. So with Haason Reddick now, with this new agency, now Drew Rosenhaus, he has a very long history of getting deals done, whether it's for players with big mouths, a la Terrell Owens, or other players as well, these stars across the league. He's always had a penchant for getting a trade or a contract deal done. That should bode well for both the Jets and Reddick because it shows that potentially his side is willing to start negotiating again. This allowing of a trade is really just a matter of figuring out from Rosenhaus's perspective, what does the market look like for Reddick? Where's the contracts offers coming from in regards to Reddick? Now, the Detroit Lions have already called because of the injury to Aiden Hutchinson. That's certainly a conversation that the Jets could potentially have if the Lions are prepared to give Reddick the kind of money that he is looking for. I think there's still a possibility that this holdout continues until something breaks in terms of the contract negotiations between Rosenhaus and the Jets. But there's also the possibility that the Jets stand back and say, well, wait a minute. We're going to allow you to seek a trade. But if we don't get the compensation we want and you get the contract we want, we are still going to keep you for a number of different reasons. First off, they don't want to trade him to an AFC team. And you put him, you're still competing for a playoff spot. If you were to put him on a team that's also competing, you're hurting your own interests. But if you send him to an NFC team, the Philadelphia Eagles get your 2026 second round pick. That's part of the conditions based on an agreed upon deal back in April. So there are a lot of moving pieces here that makes this even more complex than it already was. Rosenhaus certainly can try to do as much as he can. The market doesn't seem to really be there right now. Maybe something comes up where the Lions give the Jets some extra draft capital, sort of end this entire conversation. But I know the Jets are not going to just want to give away a second-round pick to Philadelphia for a player that isn't going to play for them. So maybe Rosenhaus comes back to them and says, okay, we will take this revised deal. Let's see what we can do with the time we have left. Certainly part of the conversation, but there's just a lot of moving pieces with Haason Reddick where it could be that he stays a Jet. It could be that he just doesn't play this year and continues to not play. Or he could be traded and this whole situation blows up because the Jets have to give a second-round pick for a player that did not show up to the team facility all year.
Well, you can't make that deal unless they're giving you back a second-round pick. Then you're just expediting, and they're not going to do that.
And that is exactly where we are here. So the Lions can talk to the Jets about, okay, what do you want for Haason Reddick? What can we do to get you out of their hands? And the Jets can go back and say, well, we want our second-round pick back. And the Lions are going to look and say, no, why? He hasn't played for you. He may not even be ready to play this season. He still needs a full ramp-up period to get ready for NFL games. We're not going to give you that second-round pick. We're going to give you maybe a fourth or a fifth. And it'll just go back and forth and back and forth. Because
they don't have their third because they traded it to the Jets, and then Douglas used that third to flip it for Davante Adams.
And again, it's the entire cycle here. The Lions can say they want to do less and give up less, but as we just talked about, if the Lions can't get Reddick to agree to a contract, this whole thing is moot. They're not going to trade for him.
I got a deal for you. Haason Reddick for Penei Sewell. Done.
Penei Sewell, Aleem McNeil. I love Aleem McNeil. Just got that massive 4-year extension. Listen, Detroit's got a lot of stuff rolling for them. They've got some great young players. A lot of them are under contract. There are some questions about how good this defense is going to be with Aiden Hutchinson out. That's why they need an edge rusher. And listen, if you want to keep your Super Bowl window open, there's an available pass rusher for the right price of a contract extension and for draft capital.
Hit the like button if you're just tuning in, and make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you to all the Jet fans, the Asmaniacs, for helping us reach over 39,000 subscribers. If you have yet to subscribe to the show It's free, and it goes a long way towards supporting the channel. So click that subscribe button that you see on the right-hand side. Davante Adams will officially be wearing number 17. If you want a Davante jersey for $30 or less, I'll share a link with you if you join the Patreon, how you can get that jersey when it becomes available at the Parts Unknown site that we all use if you're a real Asmaniac. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show. Join the Patreon for less than a cup of coffee a month. Get Discord access, your name in the intro, bonus shows, and a whole lot more. Check it out. Patreon.com/Jake Asman Show, and I'll send you that link for a Jets jersey of your choice for $30 or less. Nick Faria is joining us in his weekly spot. Let's get to some super chats and calls now. First things first, Doug gifted a channel membership earlier. Doug on the couch, dropping a one spot. If you got it, thank Douglas. Super chat from one Philip. Let's go. Happy Thursday, Jake. Jets, Jets win in Pittsburgh. Aaron goes over 304 touchdowns. Let's go. If that happens, that's one of the greatest days of my life. If the Jets save their season, with Rodgers looking like MVP Rodgers, making a statement in primetime.
It's not out of the realm of possibility either. Listen, the Steelers defense is elite, but how many times can you be elite when you're on the field for as much as Pittsburgh's defense has been? So no, I wouldn't say this is likely. Rodgers hasn't put up over 300 yards in a very long time, but certainly something that could potentially happen.
He should have this past week. It's criminal he didn't.
Yeah, it's just. Well, listen, he could have multiple completions, but the referees would have called offensive pass interference on the Jets and actually yelled at DJ Reed, who was on the sideline for it.
Ridiculous. By the way, I see a question here from Lawrence. What number is Corley wearing? 14 is his new number. In honor of the amount of games he'll be inactive for this season.
Listen,
Ridiculous.
it doesn't look pretty right now. It doesn't look pretty. And maybe this was a Robert Saleh decision of, hey, I really like this, the Yak King, if you will. But Deebo Samuel also came into the NFL very, very raw. The 49ers gave him opportunities to just get touches. It really is inexcusable to me to watch the Jets tout the second coming of Deebo Samuel and not give him the opportunities that Samuel had in those particular plays.
Tyrone Garcia. What's up, Tyrone? Appreciate your support, my man. Our offense should be good. What worries me is the defensive line. We can win now, but in the playoffs, the Ravens and the Chiefs will need a better pass rush and run stuffer. Go Jets. I'll worry about the playoffs if they could get there. But, as far as his point on the defensive line, it remains a problem. I mean, we saw Jermaine Johnson's impact truly felt. If you watch that Bills game, that's Jermaine making the right play at the end there, not Michael Clemens in space with Josh Allen.
No, 100%. I do agree. Will McDonald has been a revelation. Let's start on the positives here. Will McDonald has been a revelation. Absolutely terrific. 7 sacks in the first 6 games of the season. That is as good as it's going to get for an edge rusher in the National Football League. That's the positive. The negative, of course, is the fact that Michael Clemens has not become the John Franklin Myers that the Jets were hoping for when they made that deal back on the last day of the NFL draft. And then Quinnen Williams. I mean, he is, when he's healthy, when he's playing well, one of the best defensive tackles in football, but he hasn't been nearly as impactful as many Jet fans were hoping for to this point. Now, he's getting a lot of double teams. He's sometimes even getting triple teamed. But you have to make an impact. There are other defensive tackles getting double teamed that are making more of an impact than Quinnen Williams right now. Not to say that he's been bad. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been the all-pro that he has played like in years past, and that's the disappointment on that end. I do want to say that the run defense, I think, could get better once Leaky Fotu kind of gets back and acclimated to the NFL season. He played in his first game Monday night, and the Bills just took it to him. There's a chance that once he gets a little more acclimated, a little more reps, he can play a lot better. But certainly, if I'm the Jets, the Davante Adams trade is great, but I am calling whoever I need to see if there are any available run-stuffing defensive tackles available, maybe Jadeveon Clowney along the edge. They need edge and they need interior defensive line help because it is glaringly obvious that's the one weakness on this defense.
Quentin Jefferson was inactive for the Browns. They're having a fire sale. Flip a 6th-round pick and get him.
Listen, makes a lot of sense. I look at Clowney and saying, hey, he's really good against the run, really good in pass rushes. Maybe pairing Clowney with McDonald is kind of the partnership you need to set the edge. But More defensive tackle help certainly wouldn't help. Javon Kinlaw has been a net negative. Solomon Thomas at times has spurts, but has been a net negative. I want to see more out of Fotu, like I said, but there's just too many questions on this defensive line right now.
Also, no one wants to say it. I'll say it. Quentin Williams got to play better. He's being paid a lot of money. He's got to wreck games, man. He's got to wreck games.
And I'm not. And again, it's not to say that he's been bad. He's been solid. But you're paying him to be an all-pro. You are paying him to play like Dexter Lawrence. And while Dexter Lawrence plays in a completely different defensive scheme, so the asks are different, Quentin Williams is not making nearly as much of an impact just based on pressures alone. Pressures to me is always a positive. Everyone looks at sacks, but if you can get after the quarterback consistently, then you know you have a great edge rusher or a great defensive tackle. We haven't seen that from Quentin Williams yet.
Golden Shoe, I appreciate you and your guests. Thanks. Go Jets. Golden Shoe, we appreciate you watching, man. You guys all make it possible to do this full time, which is crazy. But, I mean, Nick and I were talking about this off air before we started. The Jets this season alone, really in the last 2 weeks, have given you more storylines than some teams get all year, right? If you're a beat reporter for the Titans or if you're a beat reporter for the Seattle Seahawks, you're not getting the amount of storylines that are this big that you get covering the Jets this year and just the last 2 weeks alone.
It's really incredible. Honestly, throw it back to last season. I jumped on this beat right around training camp last year with a different publication, and it went from Aaron Rodgers' mini camp injury into training camp, into the offensive line not being healthy, into Rodgers tearing his Achilles. You had people going back and forth about the team that was 4-3 at one point going into their bye week. We got to remember that. They were above 500 right around this time last season, and then the wheels fell off. They had games where they couldn't put up 20 points. They had games they lost 11-8, whatever it was, and it just cascaded down. And then it was Zach Wilson not wanting to play. Then he had to be forced back in after being benched. He got a concussion. Robert Saleh is essentially having a campaign to save his job. Since Aaron Rodgers got here, I have never seen the kind of wackadoo stories that have just come in and out of this facility in my life. It's been absolutely incredible.
Adam writes in, the great Adam, who I met out in the UK. Rodgers, 300-plus passing, Tay, 100-plus receiving. It's on. If Davante Adams goes for over 100 in his first game at a Jet and they win, oh, my God, is that post-game show going to be amazing?
I think they can easily win against Pittsburgh. I just don't know if putting up over 100. I'm sorry. I think there's just a natural miscommunication that's going to happen eventually. Maybe it happens against Pittsburgh where Adams is running the wrong route or he's running one route that he thinks Rodgers wants, but it's a different play call or something. I think natural mistakes are going to happen. We need to sort of, as always, just temper our expectations a little bit. He's not going to show up and put up 100 yards. If he does, great. It's gravy. But you want to see competence in this spot moving forward.
They got to win. I don't care who does what. Just win and keep your season alive and get back to 500 with a winnable game against the Patriots, who aren't any good the following week.
Win. I scream at Eagle fans all the time about this, who complain about the way that team wins. It's about winning football games. If you win 13-12, you won the football game. You now have one more win on your schedule. Who gives a crap if it's ugly or not? Just win football games. That is the end goal.
Well, it's funny because, a Buffalo Jet fan said this on his stream yesterday. The Jets are the best 2-4 team ever. And it's like, great. And we're laughing at it. It's like, this team's too good to be 2-4. Let's go. Win games.
It is.
Win games. I'm tired of it.
Honestly, throw this out there. The Cincinnati Bengals might be the best, 2-4, 2-5 team as well. I mean, Joe Burrow, great quarterback. He's got great receivers. The defense at times has been elite, and they are just a dumpster fire in and of itself. So, I listen. This team is too talented to be where they're at right now. A lot of it has to do with coaching, but we also have to acknowledge that the players have a part in this as well. They have not been responsible enough on the field to win some of these games. The penalties, pre-snap, post-snap, some of these ridiculous roughing the passer penalties, the ridiculous fighting that's going on in between plays. The players have to share some accountability here because it's not just the coaching staff. It certainly affects them, but it's not just the coaching staff.
Your thoughts on Davante's hamstring being magically healed?
Is anyone really surprised? I'm not going to speculate. It sounded like there was a legitimate hamstring concern, but is anyone really surprised he's ready to go against Pittsburgh after missing the last couple of weeks?
I'm sure he had like some sort of like hamstring injury, but it wasn't severe enough to keep him out 3 weeks, you know?
Exactly. And I sit there. I never want to speculate on certain things that I don't know, but I mean, come on.
He's back, baby. This one is from Sears. Super chat. Thoughts on Blitzboy requesting a release? Would you entertain a reunion given the state of our safety room? So for those who don't know, Blitzboy is Jamal Adams, who was released by the Titans after requesting a release. Now, I believe Jamal is out at least 3 more games because they placed him on some like non-football list. I got to look into it. But let me say this. Jamal Adams is washed. I want nothing to do with Jamal. He can't cover. Seriously, I joke about how bad Davis was in coverage the other night, how he was worse than Ryan Gosling and Remember the Titans. Jamal Adams is brutal. He is unplayable. He hasn't had a sack since 2020. Unless he's playing defensive end or defensive tackle for this team, I do not want anything to do with Jamal Adams. He burnt every bridge here. No, thank you. I am good on Jamal Adams being a Jet again. No.
My only response is one word. Yikes. Yikes.
I would like to see Brian Costello, Connor Hughes, and Jamal Adams in a locker room, but that's about it.
Listen,
Just for entertainment purposes.
The Jets have one of the best linebacking rooms in football. You don't need another linebacker, and that's essentially what Jamal Adams has become. Sorry, you don't need any more additional help for a group that's one of the better ones in the NFL.
Thank you for the 2 first-round picks, Jamal, but I'm good. I mean, and you know what? He's posting things on Instagram of him in a Jet uniform. He wants to come back here, and I just like, I mean, I'm good. No, thank you.
Please open the door. Please open the door. Nope, sorry.
Brutal. I mean, even if he plays for the minimum, I'm good on Jamal. Bad locker room guy.
There's no need for it. You got linebackers. Do you need another safety now that Chuck Clark is on IR? Probably. But I don't look at this as a move that needs to be made. You can maybe get by with Isaiah Oliver at safety, replacing Chuck Clark. Maybe even potentially trade for one. But I certainly would not entertain this.
Pittsburgh Mike with an Asmaniac super chat. He'll be in the building at Heinz Field. I don't care whatever it's called now. He'll be at Heinz Field on Sunday night. Everyone over here saying Jets are a bad matchup for the Steelers. While true, it means absolutely nothing if we don't execute. Just win the game. Nick, from the X's and O's standpoint, go into more detail on this matchup for the Jets.
Yeah, so this is all going to be defensively, at least. It's all going to be about stopping the run. Pittsburgh knows what its identity is. It's going back to the 70s. They're going to run the football as much as they possibly can, and then trusting their quarterback to make 5 throws in this game. If the Jets are smart, I am overloading the box as much as I possibly can, essentially replicating the same game plan that you had against the New England Patriots. Now, Justin Fields, Russell Wilson, are they better than Jacoby Brissett? I would certainly say so, but not by much. Not by much. So when I look at this defensive perspective, you stack the box and you force the Steelers to become one-dimensional, because when they do, bad things tend to happen. Now, on the other side of the field, when you look at Aaron Rodgers in this offense against Pittsburgh's defense, it's about trying everything you possibly can to neutralize their edge rushers. Now, TJ Watt is going to get his. He is now of these kind of players that are just unbelievably great, and he's going to get a sack. He's going to get a pressure. He'll probably cause a turnover here and there. It's Alex Highsmith, though, that I think is the real key. Watt's going to get what he's going to want. But if you can contain Highsmith and at least seal off one edge of Pittsburgh's defense, you should be able to run the ball at least a little effectively and open up some passing lanes for the Jets offense. It's a tall order. Watt has been dominant. Highsmith has been dominant. The Jets offensive line has struggled in the last few weeks. But if they can somehow contain Alex Highsmith and just do anything to get in front of TJ Watt, I think they can do a lot better than what the Cowboys did a couple weeks ago when they only put up 20 points, and they were lucky to do even that.
I would say you have to have a tight end helping Tyron Smith on Watt throughout 100%. The entire game. And if Tyron Smith's really struggling, I think Olu needs to be ready to come in and play.
I think we're there. I honestly think we're there. I never want to say bench a player because this guy isn't good. Obviously, certain circumstances happen. But when father time comes for you, it's the same take I have about CJ Mosley and Jamie Sherwood. When father time comes for an aging player, you notice it instantly. The speed of CJ Mosley isn't where it used to be. The footwork and speed of Tyron Smith isn't there anymore. I think we're certainly at the possibility where if he struggles even a little bit, you have to go to Olu Fashanu. Even if Fashanu struggles in this particular game, you at least have the solace of understanding that this is a rookie tackle and you can give him the patience in order to develop the right way. You don't have that with Tyron Smith anymore. He hasn't been good. I would argue he's been the worst offensive lineman on this team to this point this season.
I don't understand how a guy who was a second-team All-Pro last year just fell off the way he has seemingly for the first 6 weeks.
Look, I've seen him more than really anyone here in this chat and in this conversation. As an Eagles fan, I've watched him play since he was drafted up until his final years as a Dallas Cowboy. This guy is one of the best left tackles in the National Football League. And his drop-off, I think, will offer questions on Keith Carter's ability to be an offensive line coach, because that's certainly a question that needs to be had. How do you have an all-pro suddenly just hitting a wall like this?
He's got to be hurt. That's the only explanation how it could drop off this quick.
But the other piece is, the only other explanation is he's done. His time has come. It happened with Peyton Manning. You saw it from 2014. They lose that playoff game. The very next year, he didn't have the arm anymore. He didn't have the arm.
But he had a neck thing that was hurting him. Like his body fell apart.
So the body fell apart. The exact same thing that's happened to Tyron Smith.
But he's not listed with any injury that we know of.
Just because he's not listed with an injury, I mean, he's dealing with a degenerate back and knee problem, and he's been doing that for the last 5 years. I
just can't believe it fell off this quick. Like he was elite last year. Any film you put on, any eye test, he was still one of the 3 best left tackles in football a year ago.
I'm not disagreeing with that. it goes back to my point. Father Time is undefeated, and when it comes quickly. I feel it came for CJ Mosley already. It even came for Tom Brady in his final year. The Buccaneers were awful offensively in Tom Brady's final season. He was blown out in his final football game ever. Father Time is undefeated. When it hits fast, and it certainly looks like it hit for Tyron Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, a membership has been gifted. If you want one for yourself, make sure you subscribe to the channel and like this video, and you might be randomly selected. Brazil Jets has gifted a membership to listener Juju. So Juju, congratulations. You are an official as Maniac. All right, let's keep it rolling here with some super chats for Nick, and then we'll squeeze in a call or two before we say goodbye. Cheaty Took writes in, I would really like to see more LT3 on the D-line. I would play Leonard Taylor. Why not? Why not? You got to do something different.
You need solutions. I completely agree. Get Leonard Taylor on the field. Listen, there was one particular play, I believe it was the Vikings game, where he breaks through a double team and records a sack on a 3-man pass rush. We haven't seen that from Quinnen Williams. Objectively, we have not seen that from Quinnen Williams this season. With him playing as well as he has, this undrafted rookie out of Miami, really, it should be done. He needs to play more, maybe throw him in a little bit more than Javon Kinlaw, even though Kinlaw is making substantially more than Taylor. But certainly this is part of these potential solutions that could come up for the Jets.
Abu Dhabi Jet fan, he gave us a $20 super chat, so we're skipping ahead, baby. I'm a capitalist. Davante does solve every problem, but should give us a better first half production, which could really help the D early. So you're saying, I think he means to say he doesn't solve every problem, but he does help the first half off. Yeah, I mean, look, the Jet offense was pretty good to start this game on Monday. They just beat themselves. Brees on the opening drive had a drop on 3rd and 3 that would have moved the chains. Maybe they finished with a touchdown. They looked a lot cleaner. They moved the ball really well between the 20s. It's going to come down to red zone execution. And guess what? Davante Adams is one of the best red zone targets in the NFL in his Hall of Fame level career. So it will help. Like, anyone who's trying to argue Davante doesn't help this team, you're a fool. He doesn't fix all their problems, but the Jets became a better team for a measly 3rd-round pick for an all-pro receiver.
This was a no-brainer. You didn't give up a 2nd-round pick. Let's say the Jets get to the AFC Championship game this year. Tall order. We have a long way to go to get to that point, but that trade forces the Jets to give up a second-round pick instead. Isn't it worth it? Like, at some point, you have to understand that when you make these kind of big deals, the opportunity is there for just something so much better than you've been dealing with in years past. So I thought the conditions were very, very fair for the Jets. Either make the AFC Championship game or be a first-team All-Pro, and then we'll give you the second-round pick. Otherwise, we're just keeping him on, and we're going to hold you to a third-round pick. I thought this was a very fair deal for New York. And like I said before, it masks concerns. It's not so much that it solves everything, but it masks concerns that you have on other spots of the field.
Mike writes in, good that Russell Wilson's starting over Fields. Well, it's not confirmed yet, just so everyone knows. Tomlin hasn't said that Russ is starting. He's just been getting the first team reps, so it appears like we're headed that way. Nick weighed in on this earlier, Mike, so check that out. But we are both in agreement that we'd prefer Jets to face Russell Wilson rather than Justin Fields, who leads the NFL in rushing touchdowns as a quarterback. So that's the weakness of the Jets
always
defense.
have these kind of problems. They have these kind of problems. It's the zone concepts. When you play quarterbacks like these, you have to play man. The Jets certainly can. They just haven't really done it a lot.
Brazil Jet says, does Bakhtiari fit now? Yak King, Garrett Wilson, Corley not returning kicks or punts, telling Sauce play safety. He does an interception. All right, but Sauce is not playing safety. That doesn't make any sense. He's not a great tackler. You're asking to tackle and be a ball hawk safety. Come on, stop it. And as far as Bakhtiari, look, if he wants to play for the Jets for the minimum, fine. I'll bring in as many bodies as possible. I just don't know what type of shape he's in. I don't know if he still could play at a high level. I have no idea.
I'm just trying to understand each particular point. So Bakhtiari, who is even more injury prone than Tyron Smith, is going to help everything right off the bat. He's going to help with speed rushers. The Corley not returning kicks or punts is telling. Sure, it's also the fact that I think the Jets just want to get the ball to the 30 as much as possible. They're not trying to really score with these particular plays. They're just trying to be in advantageous situations. And the Sauce play safety is just dumb. I mean, he's a lockdown corner. Is he as locked down as he was the first 2 years? No, but he's still a great freaking corner.
He wasn't targeted once in this game on Monday.
He's so talented. He is excellent as a lockdown corner. Just because he doesn't have the interception totals does not mean that he's bad or needs to change positions. He is still among the elites in this game.
Yeah, look, he's not a great tackler. We understand that. Neither was Deion Sanders. Sauce.
Neither were most of them.
Yeah.
Most lockdown corners are not good tacklers.
This fan base watched Prime Revis, who was the greatest cover corner ever and was an elite tackler. So that's who Sauce is always being compared to. He's not perfect. He's still one of the best in the league. You're not changing his position. I will say this, though. Brazil Jets did gift a channel membership, so we appreciate him for that.
Free stuff.
Way to save it. Way to save it.
Yeah, good job, Brazil Jets. Good job. Listen, I already shouted them out. I already did this. Never mind. My mind is fried. Anyway, let's see. Abu Dhabi Jet fan. Tyron's probably dragging around a ton. Elon list of a lot of injuries. I guess he means. Yeah. Look, yeah. I'm sure he's banged up. That's why he never practices. But Nick, maybe he should practice this week. Maybe
a back. He's got a degenerative back problem. He's got knee problems. He's got an ankle problem. He's had neck concerns, and he's also, I believe it was a torn triceps. He's played a long time in the NFL, and it's not to say that he's suddenly going to hurt his Hall of Fame candidacy, but in reality, the injuries certainly catch up to certain players. It's just the reality of the situation. I think that's where we're at with Tyron Smith.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's rapid fire through some super chats here. Bang Mateo, Quinnen Williams, contract year, hustle strikes again. You know what's crazy? Quinnen was better last year than he was this year. That was after he got the deal. So
yeah, that's not fair to him.
Maybe he's hurt, and we don't know. Because once again, you're not this is not Muhammad Wilkerson. You're not questioning Quinnen's character. Quinnen Williams, his brother, got paid and then became a first-team All-Pro and has looked every bit as good this year as he did last year. So it's weird, man. They need more from Quinnen. Just like we were saying, we need more from Brayson Garrett, and we got it these last couple games. Same thing with Quinnen now. This defense needs him to play better.
I agree. It's not to say that he's been bad. It's just that he's been average, and you're paying him to be more than average.
Ladies and gentlemen, LB, what happened to Takk McKinley?
The beautiful thing of, hey, he was a roster invite who made the roster from a great preseason. Roster invites aren't normally expected to see the field 60% of the game. They're expected to fill out the bottom of the roster spots. And now with Haason Reddick not showing up and Jermaine Johnson being hurt and all those concerns, you haven't gotten the same impact from McKinley as you had from him in the preseason. This is what naturally happens with a lot of these invites. They don't make as big an impact as you want, but that doesn't mean that they were wrong to keep him. He had a great preseason. He had a great training camp. It was just a matter of he's being pushed into a situation that he was never going to succeed in.
Tack McKinley, I just looked it up. He played – where'd it go? Tack McKinley played 12 snaps on Monday, 17%. 12 of 69 plays.
It's and again, you look at those plays, you look at the tape. It's not that he's bad. It's just that he's not been impactful. And when you're not that impactful, you have to ask, okay, well then why were you given a roster spot? But the answer is right there in front of you. They weren't expecting him to play this year or expecting him to have a massive impact on this team in these key situations, because you hope that Jermaine Johnson and Haason Reddick would be healthy and available at this point in the season.
Bang Mateo, Nick, redeem yourself and never mention Bang. We're done with your hatred of Ruckert. Enough. Golden Shoe, this is the week Sauce learns how to catch. I would appreciate every Jet fan out there. And Golden Shoe, thank you for the super chat. Every week someone predicts this is the week Sauce Gardner gets his pick 6. Stop saying it. The week we don't say it might be the week it happens. So please.
100%.
I've heard this every week. I've done the show 4 seasons. Sauce has been on the team for 3. Every week this is the week Sauce gets his first pick 6. It hasn't happened yet. So no one say it, and it might happen on Sunday. That's my mantra. Please.
It's pretty simple. It is pretty simple. Stop talking about it, and then it will happen.
It's like Fight Club.
100%.
John writes in, the 17 edition is better for the culture than anything. I do agree that this helps the locker room. I think it does provide an energy boost. Like this team maybe was feeling themselves down in the dumps after losing that game. Interim head coach, what are we doing? Here we go. And now it's like, no, ownership still believes in this team. You have Davante, go out and right the ship and let's go on a run.
Yeah, listen, there are more ways than one why this move works. The offense needs some more firepower. They need someone to mask the offensive line, and they need additional help to get in the red zone. All these things Davante Adams does really, really well. This was a no-brainer move for the franchise, and the fact that it would only cost a third-round pick is just a feather in the cap for Joe Douglas.
Ladies and gentlemen, Peter Castro in the house. Why is Brick not traveling, nitwit? I guess this is a reference to Sauce not traveling.
Because DJ Reed is really good. He was the number 1 corner in the National Football League to this point of the season before he obviously dealt with a groin injury. DJ Reed's been really good. Why would you have your other top corner travel and show that you don't have trust in him? This isn't like a situation where the Jets don't have a number 2 corner, don't have a slot corner, and you have your number 1 guy traveling. DJ Reed has been awesome this year. I would argue even better than Sauce Gardner to some points, because he has just been locked down. Some of these penalties against him, against the Bills, were ridiculous. Absolutely egregiously
and the Vikings
bad.
Too, by the way.
Egregiously bad. I mean, there was one play where Josh Allen's throwing the ball out of bounds, and they still call a PI on him. I mean, this was just pathetic from the referees in that particular game. But you don't need to travel, Sauce, if DJ Reed is playing as well as he has. It's that simple.
Ladies and gentlemen, hit the like button if you're tuning in. Subscribe to the channel and RSVP for our watch party for Sunday Night Football, Jets Steelers at T-Squared Social. If you've never been to a watch party before, oh, baby, you're missing out. It looks a lot like this.
The yellow line and the goal line. Handoff to Hall. Touchdown, Jets. They're going to get a free play. Rodgers is the master at it, and a touchdown by Lazard.
Link is in the description. Let's go, baby. We need that week 1 energy, man. I don't know if we're going to have 500 people for this, but I'll tell you what. We need that energy, man. We need to win this game and get this season going. Pedro writes in, normally 2-4 should be doom and gloom. Something feels different this time around. Let's go Jets. I mean, look, I love the optimistic take by some in this fan base. Just win on Sunday, man. Just win on Sunday.
You know why it feels different? Because you have a franchise quarterback. You're never out of games. You're never out of a season when you have a franchise quarterback like this.
Correct.
This is exactly why no one should be jumping off the ledge. No one should be pleased about the current situation. Don't get me wrong, but no one should be jumping around saying, "Oh my God, the season's over. Everything's lost. Oh my God, we're not going to win the division." It's about getting into the playoffs. When you get into the playoffs, then it becomes about matchups. And I still say the Jets match up extremely well with some of these top teams in the AFC. Listen, the division may feel lost right now. It's highly unlikely that the Jets end up winning it, but they're 2.5 games out. We have played 6 games of football. There is enough room and enough games to make up that deficit going into the later portion of the season. Not saying that it's likely, but the season is not over, as some people may complain about.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is Nick Faria, one of the all-time greats. Nick, please tell me the Jets are going to win on Sunday. Your prediction for the game.
I listen, my predictions have been jack squat recently. I thought they were going to beat the Vikings. That blew up in my face. I thought they could beat the Bills. That blew up in my face. And they stunned me against the Denver Broncos. I think that they can win against Pittsburgh, but they're going to have to show me something here. They're really going to have to show me something. They have the matchup to beat Pittsburgh. I don't think Pittsburgh is really all that good to begin with. So, yes, I think they win, but they need to actually prove it before I start saying, "Oh, I guarantee this," or "I say this, I say that."
So you're picking the Steelers?
No, I'm picking the Jets tentatively.
Okay. What does that mean, tentatively?
It means that my trust in their ability to win games has been shaken a little bit and figuring out ways to win. I feel like there's some dark cloud over here. Maybe Joe Namath, this deal with the devil is continuing here more than I thought. I don't know.
Nick, all the love. Appreciate you joining the show, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
Nick Faria, weekly spot on the show, Jets beat reporter for Athlon Sports. Check out his work there. All right, comments, questions, super chats. Quick reminder, this show's available in podcast form wherever you get your podcasts, Apple and or Spotify. Just search The Jake Asman Show, and you can check it out there. Let me get to some housekeeping here. We want to shout out Jet Life for not 1, but 2 channel memberships that were gifted. Let's go, baby. 1, 2. Here we go. If you hear your name called, you are officially an Asmaniac, courtesy of Jet Life with this in his name. I don't know how to describe that. Let's see. Where to go? Here we go. Steve Strickland, you are an Asmaniac. And Timmy, you are an Asmaniac as well. If you want a membership, click on Jet Life's name, turn on gift receipts, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel to be eligible to receive one. This one's from C, who super chats us. What do we think happens with the secondary this week? Oliver at free safety, Eccles in the slot, JBC on the outside. AD should not see the field. I think Ashton Davis will play. To be fair to him, he sucked in the first half. He actually was a lot better in the second half. The entire defense was. As far as, what it looks like, you're going to see Oliver, I think, at corner. But they kind of use him all over. I mean, Ulbrich shouted him out yesterday for his versatility. I think it will depend on down and distance and situation. You'll see Isaiah Oliver at safety, at nickel. If Reed doesn't play, which I doubt he does, he'll be on the outside. And you probably do see JBC have a bigger role this week, for sure. He's probably active for the first time this year. At least I would think. If both Carter and Reed are down, I think he would be active, yeah. This is great. 80s jock. Jake, you rather be right than happy. What are you talking about? Stop defending mediocrity from our staff. Q Will, Sauce, Olu, don't silence the ones who call it how it is. Are you watching the same show where I said Quinnen Williams needs to play better? In fact, I even used the words, no one's talking about it, but I need more from Quinnen Williams. That was verbiage from me. Also, I'm going to defend Sauce because people like you, 80s jock, talk about him like he's, the second coming of Kyle Wilson. All right? He had a bad game against the Titans. He dropped an easy pick against the Vikings. Go look at where Sauce ranks among coverage corners. He's right there with any of them. He needs to catch the picks that hit him in the hands. He didn't get targeted once against the Bills on Monday. When Revis does that, that would be like, well, of course, duh. Sauce had a really good game on Monday. He's not a great tackler. We know what he is. Most corners aren't. I'm not trashing a player who was first-team All-Pro his first 2 years. As far as Olu goes, I mean, he's a rookie who didn't play great at right tackle in his limited opportunities. He's a natural left tackle. Don't tell me I'm silencing you. I'll probably send you to the Shadow Realm for 5 minutes, but that's more just because it's funny. But don't say I'd rather be right than happy. No, I want to be happy. I'm a Jet fan. I want this team to win. Don't tell me I'd rather be right. Rather be right than happy. No, you know what I want? I want to see this team win games. I want to be able to enjoy the fact they added an all-pro wide receiver to this team. And I can't truly enjoy it because they're 2-4 right now. Rather be right than happy. Here's the only thing I want to be right about. You go into the realm, bozo.
I'm glad to be in Asman Shadow Realm.
Into the Shadow Realm you go.
Aaron Rodgers is a glutton for fame. I don't think he loves his teammates. I think he loves attention.
GFY. First word is go and the last word is yourself.
I want to be happy. All right, believe me. I want this team to win so badly. You know, like they're 2-4 right now. What a moron. Let's get to some calls now, shall we? Gusbuster Umbrella Hotline is open. Neil is first up today. Hello, Neil.
Jake, how are you?
Neil?
You know, Nick made some good points. You know, I want to make one suggestion for this week. The problem, you know, he talked about Sauce not traveling because we have GJ Reed on the other side. We're not going to have him this week.
No.
And we're not going to have Michael Carter.
So,
and
George
clearly,
Pickens, welcome to Sauce Island.
Yeah, well, clearly, if they're going to do it any week, this is the week, okay? Because Pittsburgh only has one receiver that really is going to get the majority of the catches out there, and that's 14. You know, that's the guy they're going to be going at. Now, if all they do is line him up opposite of Sauce Gardner, and he sits there on the one side of the field, it's two problems in one. Number one, they're not going to target that area of the field, and Pickens is going to have a big game. And two, they're going to run Najee Harris to that side of the ball, and at 242 pounds, he'll probably step on Sauce's legs on the way past him. And Sauce won't even try to tackle him. So the smart move would be have him travel with Pickens, who's going to be moving around. That takes Sauce out of the one side of the field where they're going to run the ball. He covers, Najee Harris, who is the perfect guy for him to cover because he's 6'2". He's not a speedster. He's a guy that Sauce could stay with all around the field and maybe have some success with. Because, you know, we could talk about Sauce being a great numbers corner-wise, but they never throw to his side of the ball.
That's because his coverage is so good.
Yeah, but they're going on the other side of the ball, so he doesn't get any chances, number one. If the guy gets the ball thrown at him 5 times...
Neil, they're second in the NFL in pass defense. Sauce has a lot to do with that.
Okay, but here's the point, Jake. If the guy is a nothing in the defensive plan because they don't pass to him, but they only run to his side because he sits there like a statue on one side of the field all game, what value is he? He has no value.
He has tremendous value. If he wasn't there, other players would be making plays. The defense wouldn't be as good. Neil, you watched Revis' entire career. It's the same thing. Revis is the better player because he's a better tackler. He'd make more plays. He would catch the interceptions when he would get opportunities. That's what Sauce needs to work on, no doubt. But, come on, Neil.
Now that we have the deficiencies, though, Jake, DJ Reed has been playing great, no doubt about it. But we don't have DJ Reed.
Right, so Sauce, I agree with you, should shadow Pickens for most of the game.
All game long against the left side of our cornerback situation. So why not have fucking effing Sauce just stay on him all game? That makes sense, doesn't it?
I hope they do it. Yeah, I agree with you.
And not only that, that takes the focus of Pittsburgh running to his side of the field, and that takes away that, because everybody runs towards Sauce and it's becoming a habit now, and he can't tackle. So just have him run with the best receiver, and hopefully he'll tip a pass when the running back is getting it, and we'll have somebody else on that side of the field that can tackle. So I just think it's a make sense situation. We got to do more man coverage in this game because they only have Pinkins that's going to hurt us, and we blitz more. That gives us the opportunity to do more on the defensive side of the ball to confuse and stop. We got to change it up because if I'm an offensive coordinator, Jake, and every single goddamn week, the only time we blitzed, we had success. Okay, we blitzed against the Patriots and we had success. Now we stopped doing it and we're back to the 4 guys, the rotation, nobody gets pressure, and they kick our ass. That we got to change. I mean, you agree with that?
Yes, I would have Sauce follow Pickens, and I would blitz a little more if Russell Wilson is their quarterback because he's not mobile. See, if Fields is the quarterback, that would concern me, but he's not. So hopefully they start Russ.
Look, it's not that difficult. I think it's simple. And if they don't do it, I think it's going to end up being a big problem for us. Because I could see Pinkins being like C.J. Lamb was with us in the slot, kicking our ass like Lamb did with Dallas last year and getting 140 yards. Because he's the only guy they're going to throw the ball to, and nobody's going to be able to cover him. That's where I see a problem. So they better correct it, and they better have some blitzing if Russell Wilson's the quarterback. And if I have Pinkins on our third string, cornerback on the other side, he's going to eat all day long because he is good. He's a number 1.
It's Pickens, right? Not Pickens.
Pickens, whatever it is. And I call him, I go by the number 14. That's the guy I have my eye on. Plus, definitely should be traveling with, right, Jake?
I would, yes. If I would travel Sauce on George Pickens. Yes.
So I think it's going to be that's the game plan there. Offensively, we got to have Conklin next to. Look, I'm more worried about Moses than I am Tyron Smith because Moses is limping around out there, and Watts is going to run right by him because he's too slow because he's limping. So put Conklin in there. If this guy is not getting chipped or blocked, forget about chipped. Just block him or chip him. Keep a tight end in and block him and double team him every single play. You cannot leave that guy one-on-one and drop back the pass because he is going to slam Rodgers like it's no tomorrow. So, again, another good point.
These goddamn exploding cigars. Like, gotta go, Jake. I'll call back later. Shit.
I am very worried about TJ Watt wrecking this game. So wherever he is, there needs to be a tight end chipping on his side. Every play. And if you remember, when the Jets played Myles Garrett in Cleveland 2 years ago, Mike LaFleur did that, and it was smart. Hopefully Todd Downing is not an idiot like Hackett and is aware that's what needs to be done here. And Watt still might have a sack. He's too good. He's gonna make a play or two, but you hope when he makes his play, he's not, injuring Aaron Rodgers with a huge hit. And the ball's got to come out quick, and Davante helps in that regard because he's good against man coverage. I do want to address what Neil's talking about with Sauce. I think we got to calm down a little bit. Ripping Sauce and the defense, the secondary as a whole. This defense is not as good this year. I don't think it's because it's the coaches. I think it's because the front office, Joe Douglas, has not put together the same quality of team. And also, it's poor luck. Jermaine Johnson got hurt in week 2. He was a Pro Bowler last year. He was going to be even better this year in his 3rd year. This defense right now is second in the NFL in total defense. They are 7th in scoring. They are 2nd against the pass. They are 17th against the run. The run defense is obviously not a strength of this team. At times, it's been a huge weakness. But when you go back to this defense on Monday, if Greg Zuerlein does his job, we're commending the defense for holding the Bills to 3 points in the second half. Hey, it wasn't pretty, but they settled in. They won a gritty game at home against a division opponent they're competing with for the top spot. Like, we're killing this defense, and I get it. It hasn't been great, but I don't know if they're capable of being great this year because they don't have Jermaine Johnson. They don't have Bryce Huff. They don't have John Franklin Myers. And, oh, yeah, they don't have Haason Reddick. Whose fault is that this defensive line is not as good? Like, this team needs to win, and we're all frustrated. But I feel like we're too over the top crushing this defense at times. Part of the reason why they're not as good is because they have as many good players. Which is on the GM that everyone says you got to bring back no matter what, and you can't ever criticize the guy. And before we rush to extend Douglas and let him pick now another coach, can we see how the year plays out? But this Pittsburgh offense is not great. It's really not. That's why they're considering a quarterback change here. Because Tomlin knows deep down inside they're doing it with a lot of smoke and mirrors. The Jets are better. Find a way to score 20 points, you win the game. That's how I look at it. Nate, Jake, you'd rather be right than happy, it's sad. Parentheses, LGM. Nate, take the mask off your photo. You bum. Thank you, Nate. The Hamburger is up next. Hello, Hamburger.
Hey, what's up, Jake? How you doing? What a day. What a week, man, huh? What a week. Doesn't end.
Living the dream, baby.
I lost. Bad loss last night for the Mets, but I'm not going to get down about it. Sucks, but we play again tonight. Play again tomorrow at home. So need to win those two and then take one in LA, and we're all good. But I want to bring up some points like you alluded to with Mike Williams early. I don't want them to trade him off. That's just what we do. We're going to trade him off, and then the next day that one of our receivers is going to get hurt, and we're going to be like, "What the hell? What are we doing here?" I mean, I think he's going to play a big part down the road as we get later into the season, being another big man that can catch the ball. Contested catches. I think that plays a lot into the end of the season, and if we get into the playoffs. If we get into the AFC Championship to have Davante and Mike Williams, getting up there and getting that ball. I don't know if it's just Mike Williams right now and Aaron just not on the same page, which I believe, Aaron doesn't take that very well. So Aaron doesn't want him on the field right now until he can get better. That's what I truly believe. And that's what I think is going on right now. Maybe he took a day off to get his mind straight after what happened this weekend. I don't know. But listen, Davante helps us big time on the goal line. You say it a lot. We're great in between the 20s. He fixes a lot of our issues on 3rd and short. He fixes our issues on the goal line. I mean, I look for big things this weekend from them. I said it a few weeks ago. I think it dramatically changes our offense. I think big things for them this weekend, but the defense has got to stop the run. They stop the run. They don't make mistakes. We win the game. It's as simple as that. And we come out feeling a little better. So
You just get a sense this game could be like Jets maybe win convincingly, or it's going to be like 16-16 in the fourth quarter.
Nail biter. Yeah. It's not going to, I don't, it's either going to go one way or the other, or we're just going to, next week, we're going to be just miserable fans again. And, thinking about the draft next year and if Joe Douglas is going to stay. So,
yeah, that's the question, right? They lose this game, they're 2-5. Like, you can't even think playoffs at all. It's the conversation's going to be like, what do they have to do for the GM to be back? And then who the coach is.
I'm still having a hard time believing they'll get rid of Joe Douglas, no matter what at this point. I still have a hard time buying that they're going to get rid of him. I think he stays. Regardless of what everybody's going to get pissed off about, I think he stays. I think Woody's committed to him until Aaron is gone. That's what I think.
Look, you might be right, Hamburger. It's not crazy to think that. I wouldn't be in such a rush to bring him back till I see how this year plays out. He's gonna get to pick another coach. Like, I don't know. It's a tough sell right now. Derek writes in, Jake, why do you think we're not using the tight ends? Yeah, it's fair, Conklin did a little bit in this game on Monday. Ruckert is obviously not a guy you're going to use in the passing attack. Kenny Yeboah gonna ever play? I mean, he was on IR. I don't think they've taken him back from IR yet. I mean, the Jet tight ends combined for 4 catches and 17 yards on Monday. Maybe they're more involved this week. I don't know. I mean, they're just it's an average to slightly below average tight end room. It is what it is. And no, that doesn't mean they should have taken Brock Bowers, Bower boys. But, this team is built with their receivers and their running back. 2 of them. Braylon Allen's good too. Let's continue with your calls right now. Let's say hello to Peter Castro. Hello, Peter.
Hey, Jake. How are you?
I'm living the dream, Peter.
Living the dream. I think Nick misinterpreted what I meant on my chat. What I wanted to say was I want Sauce Gardner on whoever their best receiver is. I want him taken out of the game. I don't want him standing on one side of the field doing nothing. All right? At least if he takes one player out of the game, that's one less player we have to worry about, especially if it's their best player.
Agreed.
Because our defense stinks, regardless of what your stats say. I don't care.
It doesn't stink. It doesn't stink.
It's horrible. You go right down the field on the Jets. So
Peter, they're second in the NFL in total defense.
I don't care what they are. When it comes down to winning, they don't know how to do it.
They're 7th in scoring. You're blaming the defense for this team only having 2 wins? Come on, Peter. The problem has been the offense.
The defense, but now the offense needs to score points.
Right, but that's not on the defense.
You can run all over them.
Yeah.
You can run all over this defense.
Peter, the offense, both things can be true. The offense needs to score more points, and the defense is not as good as they've been the last 2 years, but they're not a bad defense. They're not awful.
But why isn't he run blitzing? You got 3 guys on that line doing nothing. Why isn't he run blitzing a little bit and traveling with these guys? You can't. You every week it's the same thing over and over and over again. When he did blitz against New England, they looked great. And Bissett had no time whatsoever. He never went back to it again. What are these guys thinking?
I agree that they should blitz more. They did do it, though, in the second half, if you watch. Their blitz rate was up. There were a couple plays, they even showed it on the broadcast, where they showed a couple guys, rushing 5, or a couple times they rushed 6. Their problem is the offense, Peter. They were 1 for 4 in the red zone on Sunday. They had a touchdown wiped away because of a brutal holding call on their Hall of Fame left tackle. Their issues are way more prevalent offensively than defensively right now. The defense is not as good. A lot of it's personnel. That's the problem.
The defense isn't good. I don't care what the stats say. You can run right through them. And if they don't run blitz this week, they're going to get toasted again. As far as the offense goes, I saw some signs of hope.
Peter, they held Minnesota to 16 points. They had the number 1 offense in the NFL coming into that game in London.
Okay.
You can't tell me they're not good.
But
they're second in total defense.
Stop them, Jay.
Peter, they're 7th in scoring. So I care about scoring more than total defense, because ultimately it's about points per game and how much you allow. Right. 7th in total scoring. That makes them a top 10 defense. They're not as good as last year. I agree with you. The problems have been offensively, not the defense. The defense is not perfect. The run defense is a problem. They need to, I think, add another body there, trade for someone, get Reddick in the building, get Quentin Jefferson back from Cleveland. I agree with you. I just think you're angry at the wrong things right now. The focus needs to be on the offense, and they added Davante Adams to it. Let's hope that gets them going, because that's the only hope for the season, this offense scoring more than 16 points a game, which is what they're doing right now, I think.
Well, they're going to have to score a lot more points than what they're scoring if they're going to win.
Right. That's the NFL, man. Aaron Rodgers, when he was winning MVPs, he never had a top 10 defense. He still has a top 10 defense this year.
But we have guys that we don't utilize properly. That's what bothers me. They're not utilized like they should be. Sauce Gardner's on the left side of the field doing nothing. Put him on a receiver. Take him out of the game. He's a great cover guy. He can't catch. He can't tackle. So what are you going to put him over there for? So they run at him?
Look, I agree with you. I think, but this is a week hopefully we see that adjustment, because Reed's probably not playing. Well, Pittsburgh's got one receiver that's any good.
Well, I think Reed's played great. He's been their best defender all year. But on the other side of the ball, I don't like the way he plays at all. And he runs away from tackles. They run at him. You're saying he's great? He's not great. He's far from great. He's not. Reed is better than him.
Talking about
Reed's
Sauce?
their best defender.
Reed's had a great year, but you're acting like Sauce is not any good. He's still one of the best corners in the league.
Not in my eyes, he's not. What I see, I think he's terrible.
What do you mean? What do you see? You didn't see him on Monday because no one threw his way because he was locking down his side of the field with whoever he was on.
He was locking it down?
Did you see Sauce Gardner involved in any throw targeted his direction?
No.
He had a great game. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We know he's not great against the run. They ran at him on the first play, and it was bad. But okay, this defense allowed 3 points in the second half. They had a chance to win the game with Aaron Rodgers with the ball, and they didn't get it done. They also missed 2 field goals, had a touchdown wiped off the board. Their opening drive only got 3 instead of 7 because Brees dropped a wide-open 3rd and 4 that would have moved the chains and got them inside the 10. The problems on this team are on offense. The defense is not as good, but it's still serviceable. You can win with it if the offense gets figured out.
True. That's true. I agree. The offense has got to figure it out. I don't know what's going on with Brees. He looks good. I don't know why he didn't cut back and just go into the end zone. It looked pretty easy to me. But there's a lot of mistakes being made on this team, and there's something else. There's more going on than meets the eye with this team behind closed doors. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what it is, but I can tell you this. Quentin Williams, what is he doing? Half of the game he's on the sidelines. The other half of the game he's in. Well, how come he's not in more? Dexter Lawrence makes him look sick.
Let's see how many snaps Quinnen played. What percentage of snaps for you? Hold on, Peter. Stand with me. We don't want to lose you, Peter. The Jets are driving you insane. All right, just calm down.
I can't take it anymore.
Quinnen played 68% of the snaps on Monday, which was the most among any defensive lineman. Actually, most among any defensive tackle. You know who led? This isn't bad. Here's where I will. You should be screaming about this, Peter. You scream about this. I'll give you the floor. Michael Clemens led the Jets defensive lineman with total snaps. He played 77% of the snaps at defensive end, 53 of a possible 69 plays. And that's a problem. And that you should yell about, not Sauce Gardner.
That tells you how bad the coaching staff is. How could you possibly have Clemens out there, all right, when the whole 50,000 people know they're going to run, that they're going to run at him, and they run right at him, and he goes for 5 yards, and he has no help over there at all. This coaching staff is for the birds. And here's news for you. Brick, you could break all the bricks you want. He's no better than Salah. He's no better. He made no adjustments during that game. He didn't blitz. He doesn't do anything right. If Rodgers can't win the game, this team is going nowhere. They need to run off 7 or 8 games in a row. They'll never do it because they're too stupid. They're undisciplined, and they have no clue how to play this game. No clue. The coaching staff is the worst in football. Martindale, as soon as he was fired from the Giants, the Jets should have grabbed him. That's how good a defensive coordinator he is. He's great. Now they got another defensive coordinator because what's his name? Brian Dable got right in his face and told him to start blitzing. And look at the Giant defense now. But we can't do that for some reason. Our coaches are like separate. They have their own little thing. You can't even talk to them. And nobody makes any corrections. It's sickening.
So you're not bricked up?
Listen, I'm bricked out with this team. I'm bricked out. They drive me out of my friggin' mind when I watch them. I can't stand it. And now Mike Williams. What do you get? First of all, he came into the season hurt. All right? He came into the season, his ACL was bad. He got better and better. Now they're going to get rid of him? Are you kidding me? This guy's a good receiver still. Because Aaron Rodgers said he ran the wrong route. It wasn't that he threw the ball too short. It was that he ran the wrong route, right? He could. I mean, I don't know. I just don't like what I see, Jake.
What if they win on Sunday? You back in?
No. They got to win 8 games in a row for me to get back in.
No, I don't believe you. They win Sunday, you'll be happy.
No, I won't. I was happy last night. I had a nice dinner with Neil and his wife. Very enjoyable.
Tell us about that, Peter. Let's hear about that.
Well, she's very fun. She's a sweet lady. They're really nice people. They were a lot of fun. Neil's a great guy. He's just a great guy. He's easygoing. And yeah, we talked about the Jets, but they shut us up because we were talking about the Jets. They didn't want to eat with us while we were talking about the Jets. But so we switched topics a little bit, but then we went back to the Jets again. You know, I'm a Yankee fan. He's a Met fan. You know,
Tom Ace wants to know what sides did Neil order for the table?
What sides? We had We had a salad. I had a steak. Neil had I forgot what he had. Spaghetti. His wife had chicken, and Joanne had I don't even know what she had. Tell you the truth, but the food was very good. We were there for a couple hours, and Neil went home, watched the Met game. I came home, watched the Met game, watched them lose. And hey, Jake, there's another thing that's bothering me.
Uh-oh.
Really, it's really getting under my skin.
Oh,
If
no.
Boone doesn't take Wells out of the fourth spot, I swear to God, is he kidding or what? That guy can't hit a balloon with a tennis racket. All right, he has him in the fourth spot. Give me a break. Put Rizzy in there. Put anybody in there.
They're moving him down. They're moving him down. I think
he's
you'll
swinging
see.
when he's swinging at the ball when the catcher's throwing it back to the pitcher. I mean, come on, get this guy out. He's tired. He's a catcher. We understand the year. It's been a long year. He stinks. Other than being a catcher, well, forget it. He stinks. I don't know where they got him from. What an abortion he is. He can't hit a balloon with a tennis racket. That's how
Peter, you know they're 2 wins away from the World Series, right? Like, it's okay. You know? We can be a little optimistic.
I remember Boston being up 3-0, all right?
I'm not saying it's over. I'm just saying I think they're going to move Wells down tonight. I think you probably see Trevino catch tonight for Schmidt. And then you'll probably have Torres, Soto, Judge, Stanton, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the lineup. That's my prediction.
I don't want Trevino catching.
All right. Well, Peter, take a breath. It's going to be okay, all right?
All right. Take it easy, Jake.
Get bricked up, Peter. I believe in you.
Let's get bricked up.
That was an all-timer for Peter. Gator, we might need an intro for Peter. I think he's reached that level. Put Peter's face over Costanza's dad from Seinfeld. I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're going to hear about it. A little Festivus style. Peter Castro, one of the all-time greats, folks. All right, more of your calls here. Let's say hello to Josh Mock. Hello, Josh.
What's up, dude?
What's up,
Hey,
Josh? What do you got? Yes, sir. We got you.
Oh, man. Well, I'm the Tennessee guy that called in right before the Titans game, which, by the way, was an awesome win. I got to finally see the Jets in person, which I don't get to see very often.
You cut out there, Josh. You said you were at the Titans game?
Yeah, I was at the Titans game. And like I said, I don't get to see the Jets very often, only when they play the Titans since I live in Nashville. But, yeah. So Davante Adams trade, awesome. I mean, I think just minus his skill set, we have another proven winner in the locker room. Like, I mean, that's big. I mean, we've been losing for so long. The more people we add that are used to winning cultures, the better. The more it rubs off. And then, I mean, the defense, the line's a little bit of a problem, but I mean, it is what it is. Like you said, stats don't lie either. Just like your record says what you are, stats do the same thing. I mean, we're doing what we got to do.
They're not perfect there, but it's like their issues are offensively right now. Like the defense,
Absolutely.
like part of the issues with the defense is Jermaine Johnson got hurt in week 2, and Haason Reddick has never shown up. So like that is a huge part of this team that's been built with their defensive line and their elite secondary. They don't have the elite defensive line right now.
I agree 100%. I mean, if we could snag someone off of a team for cheap or something, or practice squad or something, but I mean, how much of an impact would they make if they're coming off a practice squad? We'd be kind of in the same boat we're in right now, using, McGregor and some of these other cats. But you're right. It just kind of folded when Jermaine went down and Haason held out, which I'm still kind of hopeful. I hope Haason comes back. I mean, dude, I'm not too proud to still bring him on. I mean, we need him. So, but yeah, hopefully we win this Sunday night. I think we can, as long as those little small things don't get in the way again. I mean, Tyron Smith hold. I just can't stop thinking about that hold where he was nowhere near the running back on the goal line. But go Jets, man. Hopefully we turn it around this Sunday.
Anyone ever tell you sound like Matthew McConaughey?
Do I?
Give me a all right. There it is. Yeah.
Heck yeah, man. No, that's the first. I get I look like Eminem and stuff like that, but whatever. I'm just a country boy Jets fan, I guess.
Josh, call back anytime. Excellent job.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Josh Mock, everybody. What a debut. I think he was a first-time caller. Some super chats here. The big fella in the house. Jake, if we trade Mike Williams, do you think Corley sees the field? I wouldn't count on it. I mean, they keep using Xavier Gibson. How the hell do we have the number 8 O-line in the league? Crazy. Yeah, I'm not buying that from PFF. This is not the number 8 O-line in the league. The first 3 games, I would buy it because I thought they were pretty good in pass protection. The last 3, it hasn't been good enough. And really, they weren't terrible on Monday besides Tyron Smith at times. Like, Rodgers had time. He did. They ran the ball better. They got the run blocking going a lot better. Some of it was designed. The play calling was good. Michael Nania had some really good clips on his Twitter account just showing the different formations they showed and ran one play out of the same formation, then flipped it to a run, giving a different look, or the same look but running a different play out of that look. Like, Downing did a nice job. I'm not telling you Sean McVay, but going from Hackett, who's by far the worst play caller in the league, to maybe an average play caller is a big boost for this team with the weapons they have. By the way, Jalen Brunson is cool as hell. Well, we know this. He's the man. He's the captain. Let's go Knicks. Tuesday's coming up. Orb in the house. If Sauce isn't good, why don't teams throw his way? Can anyone answer that question? Yeah, like the logic Peter was using and Neil was using on Sauce doesn't make any sense. It's like no one's throwing his way. He's not doing anything. That's because he's shutting them down. The issue Sauce runs into is there's a stigma that he's having a bad year because he had a bad Titans game and he dropped an easy pick against the Vikings. He has still been very good. Has he been first team All-Pro this year? Probably not, but we're only 6 games in. If he gets a chance to intercept the ball, he has to do it. That's the next step. He has to do it. Also, only the Jets get this type of coverage. The lead story on First Take right now is Super Bowl or bust for the Jets this season. Why? They can't help themselves. Team's 2-4. Talk about a different team. Leave us alone. Kakuga Lake Jet fan. I think Peter is Bobby Midnight's dad. Now, that would be something. James B is next. Hello, James.
Oh, hey, Jake. Just finished my run, so I'm sorry for being out of breath. I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to ask, what's better than having Davante Adams?
Winning football games.
Well, yes, but having Garrett Wilson or Davante be your number 2. I think this is pretty iconic, I would think. I can't remember another wide receiver duo, other than like if we're going back to Moss, maybe, that have been on the same field like this at the same time. So I'm kind of pumped just to see them. I also think it might take a little bit of pressure off the O-line if we have Davante and Garrett, because that ball might be coming out quicker if Aaron's seeing his first read open, or even just his second read, which is another all-star, open right away. That is if they call shorter passes. But yeah, no, I'm excited. And yeah, go Jets. Thanks for having me on, Jake.
James, I appreciate it. Look, I'm excited too. I don't want to minimize how good of a player Davante is, but it's like you gotta win on Sunday. Like there's no we gotta get him adjusted, and now he's here. Now we're gonna start our run next week. No, the run needs to start this week. Get to 500 going into that Texans game where you're at home with some momentum and give yourself a chance. Let's say hello to Gary. He's next. Hey, Gary. You make a good point. I haven't considered that. I don't know about that one, man. No, that's a little crazy. You're comparing Michael Clemens to Muhammad Ali today, Gary? How does that make sense? Is Gary's office next to the kitchen? I hear the microwave. He's probably heating up some gas station pizza.
Gas station pizza is better than a Big Mac.
Thanks for the time, Gary. Really appreciate it. Let's say hello to Tim from Fishland. Hey, Tim.
Morning, Jake. You gotta love the cynical Jet fan. You really do. Castro, man, he just reminds me so much of my old man. Jesus. Every commercial break on Monday night, it was either my dad loves the Jets or he hates them. And it was all about the defense, man. Oh, my God. But, there's 2 things that the defense has got big issues with. Number one, you hit it on the nail, Clemens. If I'm shopping Mike Williams, I'm trying to find a DN that could set the edge. That's that. I don't even want to pick. I just want somebody who could set the edge. Okay. Even Shannon Sharp called him up on his podcast at the end, and he goes, 72, what is you doing? You know you have backside contain on that play. All right. So that's number one. And then the secondary, when the ball's in the air and you're playing man-to-man coverage and you see that wide receiver looking for the ball, you have to turn your head around. Okay? You can't grab. You have to turn your head around or you're going to get flagged every time. Okay? When you turn around your head, that means you're playing the ball. That means you have just as much right to that ball as that receiver. So if you're not, that's where that's where the laundry comes out. But, I look at this team right now. The only way I could see us doing a run is that we got to get up on people. We got to get up multiple scores on people to allow the defense to not have to face the run game as much, especially if we're going to keep Clemens out there. In my opinion, I'd cut him today, and I'd start the undrafted free agents. How much worse could it get?
I don't know what they see in him. Like the fact that he led them in snaps on defense.
Well, it's not even that. He's supposed to be a big, strong guy who could set the edge. He can't even do that. He can't even. But he's so terrible at pass rush. Did you see the play where Josh Allen threw the second touchdown? Okay, to the tight end coming back. He had that sack and he whiffed on it. Completely whiffed on it. All right, Josh Allen sidestepped him. Because he's so freaking bulky and slow. All right, like I don't know how much more I can handle watching 72 out there. I really don't know. We'll see.
Agreed.
Like I said, we're just gonna have to get up on people and make them one dimensional. That's the only thing I could see. That's the only thing I could see what this team is planning right now.
Well, despite all that, like the defense is still capable to win with if the offense plays to its standard now, like this offense should be able to score 24 points a game, and that should be enough.
They should be able to score 30-something a game, in my opinion.
They should.
With the
They
talent.
should, but things are going to happen. 24 should be enough for this team. If this team has scored 24 in every game this year, what would their record be?
Yeah.
They'd be
Tyron, though,
5-1?
another one. Yeah, but Tyron Smith, another one I'd be looking at, and I'd be letting him know, like, this can't happen no more. Otherwise, Olu's replacing you. Because even, like I said, I don't agree a lot with what Chad Ochocinco and Shannon Sharp, but they did play football. And Shannon Sharp said it perfectly. He looks old and slow. He looks like those injuries that he got in Dallas are starting to catch up to him. So I mean,
guess it's shocking how quick this happened because he was elite last year. It's not like he was like
I know. But if you're a liability out there, especially when you're protecting my quarterback's blind side, something's got to change. You can't be a liability, especially that left tackle is supposed to be the best offensive lineman on the field. Okay, and he's whiffing on maybe a third, fourth round pick, Epinesa. Who the hell is Epinesa? Now, if TJ Watt did that to him, okay, that's TJ Watt. But Epinesa, really? That's
it's
just
been bad,
all
man.
I got.
No, he's got to be better. He's got to be better, or it should be Olu Tom. They can't waste.
I don't want to see my 40-year-old quarterback getting popped.
No, 100%, Tim. Great call. You got this game. You need to protect the quarterback because it would be so Jets for Rodgers to get hurt after they now made the Davante move. So ball got to be out quick. Tight end left in the chip. Get a running game going. Get a lead. Make Pittsburgh one-dimensional. Force some turnovers. Create short fields for the offense. Like, you're the better team. Do it. I actually think it's a good thing they're going on the road right now. I think it could bring the team together. I know Pittsburgh's not easy to play in, but get it done. Jeff, then, having an offseason during the season is so Jets. Just sign Reddick already and be done with all this. Look, here's the bottom line. Last year, we crushed this team for doing nothing when Rodgers went down. They're all in there trying. And Davante's not a short-term fix. He's here for next year, too. So you can't tell me that's not a good move for a third-round pick. Big fella says Sauce is a better Crow he is in Revis. Fair. It always would bother me when people would say Sauce is Revis. I always would push back on that. Sauce is elite. He's on a Hall of Fame trajectory through his first 2 years being on the All-Pro team. You had to watch Revis game in, game out like we did as diehards to truly appreciate what he did. There was no corner in his prime better than Darrelle Revis was. Anyone. He was the GOAT in his prime. I'm not saying he's the GOAT corner because he didn't have the longest of primes, right? When it fell off for Revis, it fell off quick. but from 2008 to 2011, right? Because he got hurt in 2012. There was no corner better on the planet, ever, at that position. In the history of the NFL, there was no one better. No one. And he was still very good in 13 and 14 and for like the first half of 15 in his second tour with the Jets. And then when he lost it at the end of that season, that was it. Because he wasn't any good in 2016. Then he got cut, went to the Chiefs. His career was over. Ladies and gentlemen, Gary is with us now. Hello, Gary.
What's going on, Jake? The change of attitude on Sauce Gardner really is alarming. Like, when people said he was going to be the next Revis or he was going to be better than Revis, did they overrate him a little bit? Yeah, but look what you're comparing him to. Like you said, at his prime, no one's better than Revis. Like, it's not fair to compare anyone to that version of Revis. It was the best cornerback to ever live. So if Sauce Gardner comes up short of that standard, he can still be very good. Like, I don't understand what people want from Sauce Gardner. The defense is not the issue. It's not. Like, I know it hasn't looked perfect, but they let up 3 points in the second half to Buffalo yesterday, right? They let up 16 points to Minnesota. I mean, the defense is getting it done. Now, it might not be as beautiful. It might not be filled with 3 and outs, but they're holding. They're getting it done, and they're keeping the offense in the game. It's not the defense, and it's certainly not Sauce Gardner. I wanted to draft Thibodeau in the worst way when they drafted Sauce. And I said, well, just make sure this guy Sauce is good. He's way better than I could have hoped for. Like, I don't understand what y'all want from him. Like, he's really, really good.
He's the least of their problems right now. Their problems are on the defensive line, if you're going to talk about the defense, and their problems are on the offense not living up to its potential so far. Hopefully now, with Davante added, a much better play caller, and this team knowing that, like, it's all on them, they can figure it out and still give us a season.
The other thing I want to talk about was the Adams trade. And there's no problem with the Adams trade, but here's what I would say is that Buffalo, what's their owner's, their GM's name? Brandon Beane. Brandon Beane. He got Amari Cooper for $800,000 and a third-round pick. We're paying Adams $11.6 million. So we're paying Adams more money each game than he's paying Buffalo. Why then Buffalo is paying Cooper? Why not? Why didn't Joe Douglas do something smart like that so we still have money to address edge rusher and other things? Why not get a steal like that instead of just giving Adams his full bag?
A couple things. You think Amari Cooper is comparable to Davante Adams?
Oh, is Cooper? I mean, is Adams better? Yeah,
a lot better.
Are they comparable? Yeah, they're both Pro Bowl wide receivers. Yes,
a lot better. You watched Mike Williams struggle to get on the same page with Aaron Rodgers, right? You don't think that might be an issue with Cooper too? You don't think having Davante and his Hall of Fame chemistry with this quarterback is valuable and worth paying more?
Well, is it worth it? Well, now we can't. Now we have to trade Mike Williams, or we can't address edge rusher. That money you could have Cooper and Reddick, or you could have Adams. Right?
Well, I mean, they can address edge rusher though. They literally redid Davante's deal. He's only counting $3 million against the cap instead of 11.
So, like, what's a better value? Cooper for $800,000 or Adams for $11.6 million?
Davante Adams. Davante Adams.
There's one person in the world who thinks that, and that's Joe Douglas. It's amazing.
No. Amari Cooper is a very good player. Davante Adams is a game changer.
I agree that Adams is the better player. There's no argument there. But how you can say one guy's worth $800,000 and the other's worth $11.6 million? It's like,
because it's not truly $11.6 million. They already redid his deal. His cap hit is $3 million for the rest of the year.
And then they got to pay him again next year as well, right?
Then you extend him, and he's elite, and he's locked in with Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson going in the next year. What are you not following?
So if this doesn't work, and then you have to tear the whole thing down, now you have Adams on a rebuild. Like, okay, that's great too.
What do you mean? Like, you're only extending him if Aaron's here. He's not playing with the Jets unless Aaron's his quarterback next year.
All right.
He's a rental for now with the intention of them both being together next year. They both said as much yesterday.
I understand the argument. I think if you presented these two options to anyone, Cooper for $800,000 and Adams for $11.6 million, I think everyone except for Joe Douglas is going to say, "I'll just take that." He's not as good, But for $800,000, I can
No,
spend a lot of money on a lot of
no.
other things.
What are you spending money on? Who are you getting with that money that you're bringing in that's going to be as impactful of a player as one of the, to me, still 5 to 10 best wide receivers in the league?
Reddick.
You're not, though. You're not. They still have money for Reddick. You didn't need to do anything for Reddick.
I mean, maybe. Do we know that they have money for Reddick? Do we know what Reddick wants?
They do have money for Reddick.
They
do have money for Reddick. If Haason Reddick showed up today and his cap hit would be prorated from the 14.5 to whatever it now would be, he would be able to fit under their current salary.
So why is it not done? If they
because
have money for him,
what do you mean? Why is it not done? Ask Haason Reddick. He's been the most unreasonable player we've ever seen in this situation. His own agency fired him.
I did. And Reddick told me that Davante Adams has his money. That's why.
Yeah, I'm sure Reddick told you that. I'm sure. I mean, you ask silly questions on this.
It's not a silly question. I just
it is. It is a silly question.
And I think
you're asking where's Reddick. None of this has made sense. His own agents fired him, Gary. They think he's being unreasonable.
And he got picked up by the biggest GM, by the biggest agent in the game, right?
And guess what's going to happen here? Guess what's going to happen here? Drew Rosenhaus is going to say, "Hey, I'm going to call my contacts around the league. I'm going to see if I can see if anyone wants you. Oh, no one wants you. Hey, here's the best deal I could get you from the Jets. Go play there, champ. Play well, and someone's going to pay you big money this offseason."
I'm just saying that money that you wanted to give to Reddick is now in Adams' hands. So now
the money that you want to give to Reddick is still
money.
The money you want to give to Reddick is still there. They have financial flexibility to bring him in. If they trade Mike Williams, I would disagree with it, but I think that's simply trying to maybe do right by the player. Maybe they want to use Corley. I hope. Like to me, it's not. They're not mutually exclusive things. Like getting Davante doesn't mean now you don't have Haason Reddick.
It takes you further away because that money that
you have
aside for him
the money.
is now spent
you
on
have
Adams.
the money aside for Haason Reddick. There's money available to get him on this roster and for him to play if he wants to play football for the Jets.
If you ask 31 GMs,
no, you're reaching here, Gary.
No,
you are reaching.
No reaching. You're reaching. If you ask 31 GMs, what's a better deal? $11.6 million for Adams or $800,000 for Cooper. What's a better deal?
Now
GMs
take into consideration. No. You're wrong. Because
I'm not wrong.
You
Cooper's
are
a Pro
wrong.
Bowl caliber receiver.
No, you're only looking at just the money. Davante Adams is a Hall of Famer because he played with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. Allen Lazard went from being unplayable to a competent wide receiver because of one guy playing for this team this year. So please do not tell me that Amari Cooper would have the same impact on the Jets as Aaron Rodgers throwing to Davante Adams would have. You're nuts.
It's not just Cooper. It's Cooper and what you can do with the money you save.
You're not doing anything with the money. I asked what defensive
That's a
end
Joe Douglas problem. That's an incompetence issue. If you're wasting that much cap money on an
goodbye,
year,
knockouts don't matter if you land enough jabs. You can do them.
Oh my God, man, no. I ask you, okay, what defensive end are you bringing in? You say Reddick. They still have the money for Reddick. Nothing's changed there. You're not allowed to add Haason Reddick to your team unless you have cap space to do it. I think by rule, they got to have the allotted cap space so in case he does show up, they can absorb it. We get it. You hate Joe Douglas. I can't kill him for trading a third-round pick for a guy who made his career with this quarterback in an all-in season. Goodness, man. Obviously, if it's just looking at the money, oh, wow, Amari Cooper, great value. It's not just about that, though, man. It's about the fact that Davante and Aaron Rodgers have an elite connection. It's like Brady bringing Gronk back to the Bucs. That's what we're talking about here. Like, Jesus, man. And if you say, yeah, like you have more money to spend, and I ask you who you're spending on it, and you say Haason Reddick, I don't know what to tell you. They have the money for Reddick. He don't want to play football right now. His own agents dropped him, Gary. So as much as I'll criticize Douglas for making that move, when I wanted Jadeveon Clowney, I'm on the record saying that we did a whole show on it. He was in the building. That would have been who I would have signed. Where we are right now, they could still get Haason Reddick after they've already acquired Davante Adams. It's not one or the other. Amari Cooper is good. All right, he's a nice player. He has 24 catches this year, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. I know the Browns' offense with Deshaun Watson is terrible. He's been a solid player. You go look at his last 2 years in Cleveland versus what Davante just did with the Raiders. And now you factor in the Rodgers effect, which is a real thing. Allen Lazard was unplayable last year. He's been solid minus the Vikings game this season. That matters. That factors into the move. Also, I want Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback next year. So Davante's going to guarantee that Rodgers is coming back. I don't see any scenario he's retiring now. Barring, a catastrophic injury or this team never winning another game the rest of the way, which I doubt happens. Because typical Jets, this ends with 9-8 and missing the playoffs. And we lament the fact that they blew this Buffalo game, blew the Viking game, blew the Denver game, and whatever games they'll blow down the stretch that will pain us even more. But the idea that getting Davante Adams is a bad move because Amari Cooper costs less. When we're talking about a third-round pick either way and just money, give me a break. Ryan with a super chat. Sorry if you already addressed this, but did you see Becton's comments? Not that he matters, but add him to the long list of people in the NFL mocking us. I did see what Becton said. I was going to pull it up and rant about it later. Let me say this about Mekhi Becton. Shut up, dude. Shut up. I'm actually convinced Becton's still on the Jets. I see number 77 at left tackle this season. That reminds me a lot of Mekhi Becton. Idaho Jets just tuned in. Got to see your reaction to Becton. He's a fat, tubby bastard. You want my reaction to Becton? He just shut his mouth. Ripping on the Jets and his comments about MetLife, fine, whatever. We all know MetLife sucks. Him bashing the Jets and saying, "Oh, they're the little brother," because when we go to MetLife, we see the giant Super Bowl trophies. Whatever he said, I'm not giving Mekhi Becton enough. We're giving him too much attention. He stinks. Should blame himself for nearly eating himself out of the league. Nate writes in, Gary's offseason brain. Michael Clemens makes $1 million. Why would you want to pay Reddick $25 million? He's implying Hassan's not here due to cap room is wild. Yeah, Gary, go defend Clemens some more, please. We're going to nitpick adding Davante Adams, but we're going to support Michael Clemens. How does that make sense? Mike D's Nuts says CTE at his finest. God. Nate, Jake, would you rather have a hot dog for 1 penny or a steak for $20? Because I know 31 people that would want a hot dog for well played.
Gas station pizza is better than a Big Mac.
Man, if I get a steak for $20, I might be questioning the steak, though, is the only thing I will say, Nate. Where are we going? Applebee's? Where's this steak coming from? Oh, man, hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. RJ says, you are delusional thinking Rodgers is coming back next year. This is a blow-up. Couple things here. Before we send you to Stupid Town, I'm just going to play something for you. Here's Aaron Rodgers yesterday talking about playing beyond this year.
I know you said you're going to see how your body feels and everything like that, but having him here, is that kind of like, yeah, I definitely want to play longer?
Yeah, of course, man. Like I never thought this was possible. So having him here and then the ability to pair him with a budding superstar in Garrett Wilson, it's a pretty special combination.
Here's one more for you, RJ. Here's Davante Adams talking about playing beyond this year with the Jets.
You said a multi-who?
Yeah, multi-year. Multiple years.
I mean, I hope so. That's the plan. I mean, I want to be here. I never go somewhere in hopes of having to find a new home. So that's the hope.
Thank you for your contribution to the show, RJ. You are what we like to call a moron.
What did I do? Huh? What did I do?
God. Enough. Anyway, more of your calls right now. We got 3 people left on hold. If you're on hold, you are guaranteed to get on the show. We're approaching the 2-hour mark. I'm back at 3 today. Earlier show because I want to watch the Yankees at 5. So we got Will Parkinson joining us in his weekly spot at 3 p.m. today.
Warning! Warning! Allen alert! Shit's about to get ugly, folks. Warning! Allen alert! Hide the children!
Afternoon or morning, whatever it is. How are you doing? I love the conversations between you and Gary. It's just classic. And
let me get you. You're gonna defend Gary.
No, I mean, I thought the Bills made a great deal. I'll tell you that.
They
but,
did. But it fits their team better than Cooper would fit the Jets. What the Jets need is Davante, not Amari Cooper.
I agree, but I thought the Bills made a really good deal.
They did. They did. It's a very good move.
First of all, I love the dynamic between Peter Castro and Neil. It's just classic. I do love miserable Peter. That's the best Peter. And I hope Peter called Neil the second after Ohtani hit the ball through the moon last night. That would have been great. I would have loved to see Neil's reaction after that. Couple of comments. I was triggered by the hamburger call earlier when he's like, no matter what happens, I expect Joe Douglas to be here next year. And I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? When is there accountability for the GM when the team continues to miss the playoffs? I don't understand that. I will never understand that. He's had good moments, but again, overall, the team is 31 games under 500 under him. Why continue to give him a pass year after year? That bothers me.
Well, I think hamburgers, I don't know if that's his opinion. I think he's basically saying what he thinks Woody will do. And I don't think it's crazy to think that. Woody Johnson said last week it's the most talented team he's had in 25 years. So if he honestly believes that, which we could debate just how talented this team actually is, if Tyron Smith is all of a sudden washed, Mike Williams is a nothing, Kinlaw's a bad side. Like, we could debate the talent, but if the owner actually believes that, I could see Joe Douglas being extended and being able to hire another coach.
That would be nuts. If they don't make the playoffs this year and they extend him and they bring him back, then you know that this organization is not serious.
The only argument is, do you trust Woody Johnson to hire a better GM than what Joe is right now? That's the only argument. I'm not saying that's the right move, but that's the only pushback on, hey, we know Douglas is flawed, but he's better than the last two guys we've had. And if we could get the coach right, there's still a lot of talent on this team for Rodgers, Davante, Garrett, and Brees for one more run at it with a good defense.
But the question being is, will Woody Johnson be around to hire the next GM?
Well, if it's his brother, but if his brother's around, it's still his brother was here when Douglas was hired anyway.
Yeah, I think that would be the case. My second comment is about Sauce. Sauce is an elite cover corner. The problem is, if you expect to get $30 million a year, he has to be a game wrecker. And unfortunately, he's not. And you know what? I blame the defensive coaches. You got to move him around and allow him to make plays. And unfortunately, when there is opportunities for him to make plays, he has not been able to do so. That's why people are so frustrated with Sauce. You compare him to Patrick Surtain, or you compare him to like Jair Alexander. Those guys make plays. Those guys wreck games. That's the issue with Sauce. He just doesn't do so. And until he does that, I'm very leery about paying him $25+ million a year. You need to make plays to be considered a great player. He's a very good cover corner, but again, he's not a game wrecker. I want to pay game wreckers that type of money. And unfortunately, he's just not that.
Well, you don't need to pay him just yet. I mean, he's under contract for 2 more seasons.
Yes. And finally, with Haason Reddick, if you bring Adams in, you have to bring Reddick in like ASAP.
Right.
It's enough.
I don't think it's a Jet reason why he's not here right now. I think they want Reddick back. I think they understand they need him.
Maybe October 2024. It's not a Reddick. It's a Reddick reason. Unfortunately, April 2024, it was a Jet reason.
Yes, and the GM deserves criticism for that, which I did at the time. And I remember when I went back and actually watched the show when they made the Reddick deal, and I was like, well, obviously the Jets feel like they're going to work out a new contract with him. Otherwise, you wouldn't make this deal. Like, I gave the Jets too much credit then. Obviously, there's been a bleep show, but at this point, like, the Jets can't just give Reddick what he wants after all this. He's got to come back and play on his deal. Maybe you rework a little bit, but like, it's on him. His agents dropped him, Alan. The report was the Jets and his agents had a 1-year rework deal on the table, ready to go. His agents told him to take it. Reddick went rogue, turned it down, and then his agents were like, well, shit, we got nothing for you.
I agree with that now, but again, this is
we're in the now. We're in the now. Like, I agree with you, but like, what do we? He's got. I didn't cut him. He just left.
No, that's fine. You have to think about what happened earlier. Now it's a Reddick situation, but before it was the JD situation. And one final comment, the idea that Michael Clemens played 77% of the snaps is alarming. It's alarming. And the idea that there's a thought of him actually dressing Sunday night against the Steelers is just beyond bonkers. It might be time to play one of these UDFAs or just get somebody off the street. To play him 77% of the snaps, I just don't know what they see in him. I don't understand that. And I love Gary. Gary's been absolutely wrong in this take. I don't get why he's playing that much. I don't understand. He can't set the edge. He always gets beat. He's always out of positions. He'll always commit a stupid personal foul at least once every 2-3 games. I don't get it. Someone needs to explain that. Someone needs to ask the coach that question and straight up get a real answer out of him. So that's the bottom line, but I appreciate it, man.
Alan, thank you. I mean, I don't get the Clemens thing either. I don't. A couple games in, give him a break. Let's see if he gets a little better. It's getting worse. How is he leading the defensive lineman, not edge, defensive lineman, the whole room in total snaps in this game? What are they seeing on film that is justifying this? Because there's people I really respect who break down the film. Andrew Fialco, Joe Blewett, Connor Rogers, all these guys do film breakdowns, and they show this defensive line being pulverized. Clemens not setting the edge, giving you nothing as a pass rusher. I don't get it. Slugger, who becomes the third receiver if Williams is gone? I mean, Mike Williams is not the third receiver now. It's Alan Lazard. Doug on the couch is next, then Indomitable to wrap us up on the first show today. What's up, Doug?
Not much. Couple of things. One, I preferred the first Gary call of this show today over the second Gary call.
Gary, what were you microwaving? The chat wants to know.
That was a hell of a first call. Secondly, I think that was an Allen clone because I almost agreed with everything Allen said today, and it was very alarming that wasn't like super argumentative. I don't think that was the real Allen. And just one more back to Gary point, just to argue. Davante Adams in his career is a 3-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler, 2-time receiving touchdowns leader. Amari Cooper is just a 5-time Pro Bowler. So very different caliber.
Yeah, he's a good receiver, right? Very good at times. Davante Adams is going to the Hall of Fame. Like, that's the difference.
And there's a chance. Like, I know they did trade early in the week, but Amari Cooper, he's not going to be fully integrated in the Bills' offense this week because he has to learn an entirely new offense. Davante Adams, I'd expect him to play a majority of the snaps this week since he pretty much knows the offense already.
Just knowing the hand signals alone will allow him to be on the field because even if he doesn't know the play, Aaron can say, "Hey, do this, whatever." Touch his nipple, slap his ass, and he knows what route to run. Like that's what it comes down to.
Aaron said he already knew 95% of the hand signals, so him and Aaron can just figure some shit out. Sorry for the language. I know it's not after nighttime at this point, so sorry for the language if any kids are watching, but they should be in school right now anyway. But they can do their own stuff, ad-lib their own stuff. So you're not really worried about that. You expect because he's just in his new game, maybe he doesn't play the full allotted of snaps, but I expect him to play at least 75% of the snaps on Sunday, wouldn't you?
100%.
Yeah, and feel good. How do you feel about the Yankees game tonight? I think it's just I don't see how the Guardians win more than one game in Cleveland.
Yeah, look, I mean, if you win tonight, you really step on their throats, and it's just you're going to advance, right? But I thought the Yankees would win in 6 before the series, but we'll see. They've looked good so far, so
it just shows to go. You can't do the whole bullpen game things in the playoffs that much because they just don't have the starting pitching depth, and that just killed them. When their best pitcher was game 2, and he could only get into the second inning, that's just going to kill you in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean the Yankees are just better. They should win. They should win. Win 2 of the next 3 and make sure it doesn't go back to the Bronx. That should be the goal.
And then, like I said, I feel good about the Jets. I was in the spot last week. Hopefully they win Sunday, and we're all in a better mood, and they can go on a win streak. So go Jets, go Yankees. Let's go up 3-0 today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Doug on the couch. Before we get to our last call, reminder, we're presented today by Odds Jam. Odds Jam is an awesome betting software for my listeners to take full advantage of. Odds Jam basically provides real-time betting odds and real-time betting analysis to assist you with making your bet selections. Here's what you need to know. They provide tools and insights to help you with arbitrage betting, positive expected value bets. That's what's called EV bets. And users can leverage automated alerts, odds comparisons, and advanced analytics to make informed betting decisions. If you're someone who's getting into sports betting, if you're someone who is a passionate sports bettor, check out OddsJam. They have a 7-day free trial. I think once you use the free trial, you're going to be like, wow, I can't believe this software exists. Promo code Asman will get you that 7-day free trial. And then if you like OddsJam, which I think you will, you'll save 35% on your subscription by heading over to their website and signing up today. So shout out to OddsJam. Check it out, oddsjam.com. I got all the info in the description. Take advantage of that free 7-day trial and then save 35% off your subscription after the fact. Hit the like button before we get out of here. Ladies and gentlemen, a super chat from Nate. Please let Gary know the real numbers. Coop's cap is $800K for 24. Davante Adams post restructures $3.2 million with $800K guaranteed. Ask him Coop at $800K or DA at $3.2 million with A-Rod. Fair. Fair. Make your quarterback happy and get him to play beyond this year, which he was anyway, but now it's like a lock to me. We could say a lot of things about the Jets. Adding Davante Adams for a third-round pick is a great move. I don't care that they're 2-4. They're a missed kick against Denver or 2 missed kicks against Buffalo from being 4-1. Like, the season's still alive right now. Go win on Sunday. I could care about a third-round pick. Care less about a third-round pick when I had 2 of them anyway. Because to be fair to Douglas, it was a good move at the time. I said it then when they made that deal with the Lions in the draft and picked up an extra third. They just used that third to get Davante. It's a good move. I said that. That was the exact trade they were going to make 2 then, and it turned out to be true. Indomitable, wrap us up today. What's up, Indomitable?
Jake, what's happening, man?
What a show. What a day.
Man, Amari Cooper and Davante Adams, they don't even belong in the same sentence. It's just lunacy. I mean, Amari's a good player. He's solid. But Davante is a Hall of Famer. And we can't underestimate the importance of having chemistry and play together before. So, I mean, come on, what are we doing here? Like, Davante is the right move. It was the right move. And so glad that we have him. Just 2 quick points. Let me tell you something real quick. With the Sauce situation that a lot of people are talking, on my personal perspective, in the past 25 seasons in the NFL, the best cornerback was Charles Woodson. I mean, we're talking about a guy that had 33 forced fumbles, 18 fumble recoveries, 65 interceptions, 13 touchdowns. Through his first 3 seasons, Sauce, as of right now, he has 1 fumble forced and 2 interceptions. The guy is elite. He shuts down one side of the field, but being an objective and rational Jets fan, I do think that he needs to reflect more in production, in numbers, what he does on the field. Because at the end of the day, if Sauce keeps on this trajectory, he's giving me like a Nnamdi Asomugha vibes. You know, the cornerback from the Raiders back in the day, he had a couple of All-Pros, a couple of Pro Bowls with 2-3 interceptions a season. Then he went to the Eagles. He got all the money. He was the highest paid cornerback in the league, even higher than Revis. And Asomugha ended up being an actor, and Revis ended up in the Hall of Fame. So I think that it's imperative that Sauce kind of like starts producing numbers because they are not there. So that's my only thing with him. But I don't question his talent or that he's elite and he shuts down one side of the field. Now, I would like to see him travel with the best receiver from the other team. So, and some people say, oh, yeah, but Revis shut down. Nobody throw to Revis. Yeah, it's an asinine comparison because even when they didn't throw to Revis, he still ended up with 6 forced fumbles, 11 fumble recoveries, and 29 interceptions in his career. And he was a good tackler. So Revis and Sauce, Sauce is not there yet. He needs to start producing more. And my second point to wrap it up is Mike Williams.
Indomitable. He's not Darrelle Revis. I said this for 2 years, and people would give me pushback on it. I watched every snap of Darrelle Revis' career. He's my favorite Jet of all time. He's not Darrelle Revis. But, you know, like, he's still a damn good player. He's still one of the best corners in the NFL.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And I say in regards to many, I see it a lot on Twitter as well that people are like, Sauce is better than Revis. No, like, the guy is elite. He's a good player, one of the best young, but he's only 24 years old also. So he's blossoming at an early age. But my only question, my only thing with Sauce is that I would like to see more production, you know, like if the play on the field reflect on the stat sheet. So that's my only thing. And to finish it up, I know you have to go to the Yankees game. Go Yankees. It's about Mike Williams. We are clamoring for him to be traded, this, that, the other. But given the history in the past few seasons of us getting a key player injured, I mean, I don't see why we can't keep him for depth chart purposes, to have more depth and even have him in the room, like it wouldn't hurt. So many people are going to agree with me, many will not. But in my personal perspective, I think that we should keep Mike Williams just as an insurance in case that Lazard or even Garrett Wilson, who has been hurt the past couple of years, at least one game goes down. So you have Mike Williams there as insurance. Thank you, Jake. Have a great day and go Yankees, bro.
And Damo, I appreciate it. For the record, I'm not going to the Yankee game. I'm just watching the Yankee game. I'm not in Cleveland. But we got Will Pa at 3 p.m. today, and we'll be off by 5 because Yankees start just after 5 today. Hit the like button before we get out of here. Comments, questions, super chats. We'll cut the line. This comment from RJ, who was just in Stupid Town, but has returned with more stupidness. Adams is 32 years old. 32. Okay. And what's your point? You don't think he still could be a top playmaker for this team? You obviously don't know anything about the Jets. So you're not a Jet fan. You know how old Brandon Marshall was when he set the greatest single season in Jets history at that position? With Ryan Fitzpatrick as his quarterback? He was 31. So please. I don't want to hear it. All right. He makes his team better for a 3rd-round pick. Give me a break. Goodbye.
Into the shadow realm you go.
I don't really look too much into like who we're going after and all of this stuff, but as long as like we're not getting no Jets guys, like I'm good. Let's get this thing done.
What you saying, huh? That's what I'm talking about.
See ya. Oh, RJ wrote in. Rodgers is old. I'd take Wilson back. Ah, that's what this is. He's a Wilson truther. I know what to do with you. Goodbye. Your days watching the show are over. Now look what you've done. No more protection from the Asmaniacs. Had to pull you out of the chat and cast you down with the Sodomites. Some time in here will feel like you've been run over by the lane train. You understand me? You catch my drift? Give him another 24 hours to think about it. What a show it's been. Thanks to all the calls. They were off the rails today. Peter Castro, Neil, Gary, Alan. Just an all-time show. All-time show of calls without a V-Man, Bobby, Lane Train, Cheats fan, Gorman being in the mix. That's rare. Usually you need one of the core 4 / top 5 to be a part of it. Ladies and gentlemen, one last super chat from TT, then we're out of here. Do we save money on Tyrod next year and have Jordan Travis as the number 2? I have no idea. Tyrod's under contract. I know Jordan Travis is being redshirted all year. He's not healthy yet. I wouldn't count on it. I think if, assuming Rodgers is the quarterback next year, I don't think you could have your backup be an unproven 5th-round pick who's never played in the NFL before in his 2nd year. I think you need a legit backup. I'll worry about that next year. Let's win on Sunday, please. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for your support. My name is Jake Asman. This has been The Jake Asman Show. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Be one of the 39,000 people who have. You guys are awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the support. Reminder to come to the watch party on Sunday and let's have some fun. It will be wild. It will be crazy. And I'll see you guys there. Let's go, Jets.
The yellow line and the goal line. Hand off to Hall. Touchdown, Jets. They're going to get a free play. Rodgers is the master at it, and a touchdown by Lazard.
Let's get brick.